And we're live.
What's happening, baby?
It was time. It was already
turn that
time.
up, man. Turn up that thing.
What's happening, baby?
That's still quiet.
All right, one more. Hang on.
What's happening, baby?
There you go. Now we're talking about it. So how about this? How does this sound?
Fuck you!
It sounds good, right?
Yeah, I could hear it. It was
good
just
volume.
like talking to you legitimately.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, man, look, you know the rule. 3 people in means we start playing the intro. We already have 3 people. Second fastest. Here we go. Cover to Covered is a podcast that features 2 idiots talking about music at length, and occasionally a dog does make an appearance. There will also be special guests from time to time that will show up, and they will be smarter than the hosts. And the hosts will give their opinions. By the way, they are exactly that. Opinions. They're not truths, they are not fallacies, and they do not reflect the views or opinions of their employers or those they employ. So with that, just enjoy the damn show. And welcome back. Here we go.
Hey.
Welcome to Cover to Covered.
Hey, I want to point out, because I meant to say this a couple weeks ago, why is my name so much smaller than yours in the intro video?
It isn't.
It looks, even right
No,
now
the
in the
letters are
top
just-
right.
The letters are just kind of closer together, I think.
I don't know. I think you're shortchanging me on the size of my name.
All right. Well, then you start bringing in special guests and we can talk about making it equal. How about that? How
All
about
right.
them apples?
All right, let's do it.
All right. Roger's here. You're here. I'm here. 6 people are here already, which is great. You know what, Conchetta? I don't need you to be like, agreeing with him. Just, it's the same size. All right. Look, I thought size didn't matter. Oh, wait. I guess it does.
What's happening, baby?
You know what
I got to
gotta say
put
that?
different patches in here.
You do.
Fuck you!
You have
Or-
so much variety.
Yeah.
Is that Robert
exactly.
Plant?
That is. Going, suck it. All right. Anyway, my name is Mike Venezia. That is Nick Morocco. Our names are the same size on this screen, and I think that's really what matters.
That's
most.
part of it.
Yeah, that's most important. So next time you guys see the intro, it'll be like Nick and like Mike, and I'll just like sort of like make up for the past 20 whatever episodes that we've been doing.
That's
this now.
mostly why I'm bringing it up, just because I know the next one it'll be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It'll be
You
like
make me do more work.
scrolling
Anyway.
by.
Welcome to Covered. For those of you that have not been here before, I'm sorry. For those of you that have, welcome. Welcome back. My name is Mike. That is Nick. Again, Nick, what store do you own?
Rock City Music Company. Look, I got the shirt today.
Hey, look at that representing. And where can we find you?
RockCityMusicCo.com, or if you are local in the Detroit area, you can catch us at 5 Mile and Farmington Road in Livonia.
Nice. In Livonia, very nice.
And
Like.
one more thing. 2 weeks from today, we will have a fantastic in-store event with our friends at Reverend Guitars, the Ken and Greg Show, as it's known. Ken Haas, the CEO of Reverend Guitars, and the legendary guitar wizard, virtuoso, any noun or you want to throw at him, right? It is noun, right?
What? Well, adjective.
Adjective. That's
Yeah,
what I
mean,
was thinking
Noun
of.
is house.
Yeah, okay.
Dog. Car.
Well, Greg is as
the
good
car.
Greg is as good as a house.
He is.
Legendary
house.
Greg Koch.
Yeah. And he knows all the words.
Yes.
And he plays all the notes.
All the notes. Yes,
So
indeed.
you
And
will
it's
hear-
free. It's free to attend.
And what do you get for free these days? Nothing usually. So
Yes.
go down. If you're in the Detroit metro area, make sure you check that out on October 26th, correct?
Yes.
Wednesday, October 26th. So being that is the case, little update on scheduling. Next week, we will be off. I will be out on the road. The following week, since Nick is doing that event on the 26th, we will go live on Tuesday, October 25th. Okay? So Tuesday, October 25th, small schedule change for the week because we want to make sure that we at least come back. We don't want to go 2 weeks without doing anything, especially
You
since
can't
Roger
get that
would
lucky.
at it. No, not at all. Yeah, really. I mean, why do we want to give anybody a respite? You know, that would just be all sorts of wrong. But yeah, so we'll be back on the 25th, and I'm Nick. I got to talk to you about the theme. But let's just say we're going to put together a spooky playlist. We'll come up with some evil, spooky music for your Halloween weekend that is coming up right afterwards. But
Spooky.
yes, no, that's not the song, dude. I think it's Sloopy, but no, wait.
No, I'm doing spooky Atlanta rhythm section.
Oh, that's different. Okay, there you go. But tonight we're talking about 80s. All right. Just like I had the Golden Girls there, they were all in their 80s, right? And something like that. So it came from the 80s, is the theme of tonight's show.
I don't think any of them are in their 80s now.
No, they're all pretty much in the ground.
No,
So,
they're not pretty much in the ground. They're all in the ground.
Definitively. I don't know about Estelle Getty, though. I think.
Yeah, I think she died first.
I don't know. Anyway,
They're all dead.
They're all dead, and God bless all of them.
Yes.
So yeah, good. Spill a little out for the Golden Girls.
Except B. Arthur.
Oh, B. Arthur. He will always be with us. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be talking about the 80s, talking about music from this really weird decade, the 80s. We'll get more into that in a second, but just know that we have notes upon notes upon notes for tonight's show. Between Nick and I, your heads are going to spin. And I purposely left things off this list because I know that Nick would pick them, and I'm sure he probably did the same for me or not.
Well, we're gonna find out, I suppose.
We'll find out soon enough. We each picked 3 albums from each year in the 80s, from 80 through 89, a song from each of those albums, and then I have a whole list of honorable mentions because there were some years that we just picking 3 was just like scratching of the surface.
Yes.
Like there was no way we couldn't mention other things. But before we get to that, Nick, what's coming out this Friday?
We got the one I'm really excited about is the new Skid Row album called Gang's All Here.
Gang's All Here, yeah.
And if you haven't heard that track, it is killer.
It is great. The title track is amazing. I heard it months ago. Like, that was really weird. They advanced, and when bands do this, it drives me nuts. When they put out a song and it's great, and they put it out like 6 months before the rest of the album. Like, guys, come on. You know, I'll be sick of that by the time the album comes out because I only got one thing to play. But yeah, that song it's dated, but that's okay.
In the best way possible.
Exactly. And the new singer that they have, I think he's Swedish or Finnish.
Swedish.
Swedish.
No, I said Swanish.
He's Swanish. I forget his name, but it has multiple vowels in a row, and
I think it's Eric something.
All right, maybe it's not multiple vowels in a row, but either way, he is great.
Yes.
I mean, Sebastian Bach wishes he was this good, even when he was younger.
I don't know. Bach in his prime is hard to beat, but I get what you're saying. I
gotta tell you though, when I saw that Taylor Hawkins concert a couple of weeks ago, and he came out with Geezer Butler, and I forget who else came out at that point, and they played Paranoid, and they played Supernaut, and all I could think was, please get off the stage.
Wow.
I mean, he didn't sing it bad, but I couldn't get past the fact that this 6'4" blonde dad bod it was trying to do this Ozzy thing. I mean, he hit all the notes. It was just, and his eyes are so.
I mean, it's not like it's hard to hit the Ozzy notes.
Yeah, well, shut up. So his eyes were sunken so far into his head, I swear they were hitting the back of his skull. It was like two tunnels. They're all darkened around, and it wasn't from guy liner. It was just from the fact that he's just old and does not look healthy. But anyway, that's besides the point. So,
Gangs All Here is coming out.
Yeah, that album's coming out. What else?
Black vinyl, red vinyl, white vinyl. So there you go. You can pick
all three variants.
Yes. There's a new Red Hot Chili Peppers record again already. Yeah, they just put one out in April, and they're putting another one out now. It's called Return of the Dream Canteen, and apparently it's another double disc on an LP record with the reunion of the classic lineup. So I guess people are excited about that. I'm not big on the Chili Peppers, so I don't know if it's something to be excited about or not, but
if you're a Chili Peppers fan, I guess it is.
Yes.
I've never been a fan. So
no. And speaking of also coming out this week, bands I've never been a fan of, the new Alter Bridge, Pawns and Kings, it's called.
You know, I've a couple of my friends have actually gotten the album already, and they love it. I haven't heard it.
Yeah, but do they love Alter Bridge? Because maybe that's why they love it.
Maybe, I don't know, but I mean, you know, Miles Kennedy doesn't suck.
I prefer Creed.
Really? Wow. That's a little shocking. In fact, that's a lot shocking.
I don't know if I actually prefer Creed or not.
You just wanted to go for shock value.
Yeah, I think I prefer neither, to be honest with you. But
between Creed and Alter Bridge, what do you prefer? Bruce Springsteen.
Yep. There you go.
There's your answer. That's your answer. Certainly not mine. We know that. Cool. All right. Well, with all that said, what are you listening to this week? What's been spinning the past week or two, actually, because we were off last week. So
yes. Couple things. I told you I was listening on Audible to the Martin Popoff Rush Tombs that he wrote, and that took me back to All the World's a Stage, which I think is just such a fantastic record. I love that rough and heavy era of Rush, so I've been playing that for a couple of weeks. Jim from Fuzz Bubble got me going on this Mary Maker's record, Bubblegum, which is a masterpiece.
Good. It's so good. Thank you, Jim. If you're watching, thank you, Fuzz Bubble, for coming on a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, that album's good.
Yeah, incredible.
Incredibly good.
I don't know how that flew under the radar for all this time. And then
but you know what, though? I mean, it came out at a time again when it wasn't like,
yeah, 98, people weren't looking for that.
Yeah, now you're talking about power pop got really screwed over between like the late 80s and the mid 2000s, because every time really like seminal albums would come out in that genre of music, like whether it was Jellyfish, Mary Maker, whoever it was, they got caught up. Like Jellyfish got caught up in grunge, Mary Makers got caught up in nu metal. Like there was just everything just overwhelmed it. Everything just overwhelmed it, and it was too out there for pop radio, too instrumental, too act, like the proficiency was actually too
much
high.
Band.
Too much band for pop radio. So it always got just buried, and that sucks because these bands are great. And by the way, that playlist is up on Spotify. I did post it in last week's the last episode's comments. So if you want to check out the ultimate power pop playlist, go to episode 23. You could check that out. It's on Spotify. There's like 40 songs on there, and there will be more and more and more. And we are in trouble today, Nick. I can say that with surety because look who just showed up.
Uh-oh. Well, now I always get these guys confused. Is this the guy that likes Iron Maiden?
No.
Okay. Well, I was going to lead in and say that I saw Iron Maiden on Sunday, and they were fucking unbelievably great. I mean, now, it's so out of this world how great they still are.
Here's the thing. I saw that you saw them. I was happy you saw them. And then I saw that you guys had a suite.
Yep.
All right, how did that happen?
Somebody that knew somebody.
It
wasn't
Bob?
me.
Was
no,
it Bob?
It wasn't Bob. Actually, I got Bob in.
Well, there you go. Well, that seems to happen a lot with Bob anyway. So
Yes,
we're talking
yeah.
about Mr. Bob Tyrell, tattoo
Sidebar,
artist extraordinaire.
sidebar here, which because you'll really appreciate this since we're talking about it. So I get Bob in on Sunday. We're all hanging out, see the show. It's a great time. Say goodnight. Bob heads home. Literally the next day at like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a text from Britt Turner from Blackberry Smoke, and he goes, "Look who I just ran into," and it's him with Bob. And I go, "Britt, are you in town?" And he's like, "No, I'm in Atlanta." And so Bob's in, I mean, obviously I know how airplanes work, he got there, but like, it was just unbelievable. Like he was already there. And
I
then
know how airplanes work.
that was on Monday, and then it gets better. So yeah, I'm laughing about that, right? And then yesterday I get a text from Bob at like 2 in the afternoon. And he's like, "Hey, you going to the Super Suckers tonight?" I'm like, "You're already back?" He's just bouncing all over the place.
Well, I think honestly, I think you went there for a friend's funeral.
He did. Yeah. Britt is a mutual friend.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I believe Britt is now a subscriber to this channel.
oh, that's big time.
So thank you, Britt. And dude, we need to have you on.
He said he would do it. He said he would do it.
He said he would. He told you that, but he didn't tell me that. So, get cracking, buddy.
He'll be like, "I'll do it for $200."
And I'll be like, "That's $199 more than I have to spend on this fucking show."
But Iron Maiden were unbelievably great. It was
the Number of the Beast. They played the entire album, right?
No. It's called
they did.
No, it's called Legacy of the Beast. But the set list I thought was paced great because they did the first 3 tracks off the new record off Senjutsu, and then they did some classic tunes, like Revelations and Hallowed Be Thy Name and Number of the Beast, of course, as you just mentioned. And then some deep cut stuff, like even from the Blaze era, they did Sign of the Cross, and so great hearing Dickinson sing that. And they did the Klansman. But the best moment for sure, the closing tune, which is so awesome. They closed with Aces High, which is so, ass backwards. Usually it's the opening tune. But they had a plane came down out of like the rafters and was like going like this while they were playing Aces High. It was sick. The stage show was so good. They are hands down in my opinion, the top 5 live bands of all time. It's so great.
So when they played one of the Blaze Bayley tunes, what were the beer lines like? Because I figured that's when everybody either went to the bathroom or got a beer.
Okay, so that's the thing. Like, Maiden's one of those bands where the fan base is so rabid that like they're into that. And let's be honest, it's way better with Bruce singing it. You realize what a great song it is.
Yes.
So
yes.
And again, the theatrics of the stage show while they were playing those songs was just great. So once they went on, it was super easy to get a beer because everybody was watching the show.
Oh God. All right. Well, I'm glad you got to see it. I had tickets to go see them when they played down here, and I honestly was just too tired. And that's how you know you're getting old.
Who's too tired to see Iron Maiden?
Because I was up at 6 that morning. I went to go see the Chargers play up in LA, and by the time I got back, it was 7:30. And the show had started. And I'm like, all right, well, my dog hasn't seen me all day, and will probably shit all over the floor if I leave him again. So let me just, I've seen Iron Maiden several times.
You should have maybe skipped the Chargers game and went to Iron Maiden.
Well, no, I paid a lot more for the Chargers tickets. So there's that. But anyway, what else are you listening to? Or did we?
I did all my. What am I listening to? It's your turn.
Yeah. What am I listening to? Well, on your suggestion, that Martin Popoff book, I downloaded it. I've been listening to it, and it's great. The one thing, being a complete Rush nerd, of course, I'm absorbing all of it. And a lot of it I've heard before because I've read the documentaries, I've watched, read the autobiographies and the biographies, and watched the documentaries. But the one thing that I noticed, and I'm not sure if you noticed this too, and I'm on still like the first section, right? They're up to just about talking about 2112. Okay. How much they defend Caress of Steel.
Yes, I did notice that.
They really, really defend Caress of Steel. And I found that to be really, really weird.
Yeah,
But-
and you know what's funny is it's not really a spoiler because you know this. They talk about at one point there's like a quick little veer off about Rush Archives, which is basically their version of Kiss the Originals.
Yep.
First 3 Rush records. And there's a quote from Geddy Lee where he said, the biggest reason we did Archives was so Caress of Steel could get another viewing.
Yeah.
It's like, they really love Caress of Steel.
They do. It's like they're what the heck? Oh, Roger's eating like Velcro. So I thought he was like expelling lots of air. No, he was just ripping a Velcro like slipper, which has been his for a while. I can no longer wear it. But I forget what I was saying. It wasn't even important.
You're talking about Caress of Steel.
Oh, yeah.
In that
Yeah,
Rush
it's
book.
like every one of their albums is like a kid, right? And you don't hate your kids, but you may like one more than the other. And then there's the one that's sort of like misunderstood. That's like their misunderstood kid to them. You
Yes.
know? So anyway, but because of that, I did go back and listen to the first 3 albums, and I've been listening to that on somewhat heavy rotation. And I've been listening to Boz Scaggs too.
Yeah,
I
which
know,
album?
it's
Silk
weird.
Degrees?
Yeah.
Yeah, masterpiece of a record.
So, great album. So yeah, it's been an interesting listening session over the past couple of weeks because I wound up getting about 30 records in the mail. So,
Which your video was outstanding, by the way.
thank you very much. Yeah, for those of you that don't know what Nick's talking about, I belong to a group on Facebook where they do raffles, and if you win a particular album. And I won a mystery box of albums. I got 26 albums in this box. And so they said, hey, could you do a video to kind of show what you got, to show everybody else what you got? And so I pulled out like all of my questionable albums in my collection and said that I got these albums instead of what I actually got in the box. So the first one was like, oh, look at this. Oh, it's a power trio. This is so awesome. Tony Orlando and Dawn.
That was fantastic.
And we just went from there. So anyway, I'm sure nobody wants to hear about that. They want to hear about
This.
the 80s. They want to know how we're going to argue.
I thought you
about it.
said Jeff didn't like Iron Maiden. He's shitting all over them in the comments.
No, Jeff
Says Bruce sounds horrible. When's the last time
Yeah.
Jeff was fronting an arena metal band? I'm just
It
curious.
doesn't matter, but Jeff is the one who doesn't like Iron Maiden. John is the one who does like Iron Maiden. So this is sort of par for the course. But Jeff also likes Kick Tracy. So
Oh, he's the Kick Tracy guy.
yes, and Vane, who happens to be playing this Friday, so I'm not going to shit all over them. They're playing down here. They're playing in L.A. at the, I think at the Whiskey. So, and I'm sure that Jeff will be there, and I'm sure I won't. But anyway, so 1980 to 1989 is a very weird decade of music. Very weird decade of music. There were so many converging styles that were coming out. Some were going up, some were coming down. Classic rock wasn't classic anymore. It was just becoming classic because now it was changing to a different type of rock. Metal started rising up in the early 80s. Hair metal, of course, was prevalent throughout the decade. Goth, new wave, and even pop. I mean, just different types of pop that were all over the place. So I wanted us to take a deeper dive into this, and we're going to come up with a playlist for you. But I mean, this decade is just really funky.
Yes.
And it's kind of interesting to see when some of these albums came out in relation to other ones further down the trough, and what years seem to be like, wow, that's outstanding. And some years you're like, whoa, you really had to think about a good album from that year, So what we're going to do is this. We're going to go from 1980 through 1989 chronologically. We each pick 3 albums. I'm thinking we should go back and forth. Like album. We'll do that, right?
Yep.
And we picked a song from each album. And then that song from each album, we're going to turn into a playlist, put it on Spotify. You guys can listen to it. Now, if you guys have any comments or suggestions, or if you just fucking hate us, you could put it in the chat.
Cue Jeff Henderson.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's guaranteed to happen. But his name is Ballbag. So, all right. Now, I'll give you honors.
Well, I'm
can
going to go
start with
first.
you go first. 1980. Give me your first album from 1980.
All right, I'm shotgunning you.
Oh God.
Permanent Waves.
God damn it, motherfucker. All right. Okay. All right.
And I picked Spirit of Radio because
right.
it's awesome.
Well, why did you pick Permanent Waves? Like, why is this one of the highlights of that year for you?
Well, because I think it's like it's totally the opening a new chapter of Rush, which I think it totally ties in with the start of the new decade, and still prog greatness on that record. You know, with Natural Science and Jacob's Ladder and stuff.
Ladder. Yep.
But you start getting a little bit more commercial Rush, obviously Spirit of Radio and Free Will, of course. But I just love that record. That's always been one that I've been drawn to. As I got older, I got more into the proggy Rush. So Permanent Waves is kind of like my first album that I loved by them. So
yeah, Permanent Waves is, I agree, it's on my list. It was number one on my list from 1980, but I went with a different song. I went with Entre Nous,
great one too,
which starts off side 2 on the album or number 4 on the CD, depending on how you're looking at it. Now, this album only has 6 songs. It's not a lot of songs, but a couple, like 2 of the songs add up to like almost 20 minutes. Like Natural Science is like 10 minutes long or 9 minutes long. Jacob's Ladder is like 7 or 8 minutes long.
And they're coming off Hemispheres, which only had 4 songs.
Yeah. But one of them was an entire album side.
Yes, right.
So there's that. So yeah, you got 2 more songs per side for that matter. Yeah, Permanent Waves is it definitely previews what's to come for Rush. You know, it definitely took them in a more commercial direction. They delved a little bit into reggae because you can hear that in Spirit Radio. Yeah, all that definitely. I agree with that. I guess my first pick. Iron Maiden. The first album by Iron Maiden.
So now, song, did you pick Iron Maiden?
Yes, I did. So I went with the album Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden and the song Iron Maiden from the album Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden. So now, am I a big Paul Di'Anno fan? No. But you can't deny that when that album came out with Phantom of the Opera and Iron Maiden, like all these other great songs that are on that album, it was definitely taking the new wave of British heavy metal in yet another direction. It was forwarding this heaviness, and you know, just that gallop, you know, that Steve Harris gallop that he writes in like every song was prevalent. So that's why I went with that one. It's a great album. It's a cool cover. You know, the introduction of Eddie,
spike-haired
Eddie, punk Eddie, if you will. It was like Eddie on a diet because, you know, the face was much longer on that album, and then in years later the skull got bigger. But go ahead.
Okay, my second choice is David Bowie, "Scary Monsters," with the song
interesting choice,
"Ashes to Ashes." And the reason I picked that, similar reasoning to Permanent Waves. It's Bowie turning another corner. It sort of ends that Berlin trilogy of Low, Heroes, and Lodger, the experimental synthy kind of soundscape stuff that he was doing on those records with a lot of like, you know, noise elements and things, and a little bit pulled back into the commercial area that he hadn't been in a little bit. Before you get, it's definitely the big stepping stone to Let's Dance. So
yes.
It's but it's still him pushing the envelope. It's still got some of that experimental stuff on it. But the song "Ashes to Ashes" I just think is a great song. So that's why I picked that one to represent it. But Bowie, you know, constantly changing, and I think it's just the rather than the beginning of a new chapter, it's the end of the Berlin chapter.
Gotcha. Good call. My next pick from July, it was released on July 25th, 1980. And this was definitely a changing of the guard in a lot of ways.
Damn it.
Starting the second half of this band's career. And why? You stole mine, so I'm going to say AC/DC, Back in Black.
Yep.
And for the song, I picked Hell's Bells. Because what better way to kind of like crank out, you know, hear Brian Johnson in all of his glory taking over where it was left off by what's his face?
Bon Scott.
Thank you. They both had scratchy voices, but Brian out-scratched Bon Scott.
Brian sings his ass off on that record.
He does. Oh my God. It's just such a display of just interesting range with that gravelly voice, that beyond whiskey soaked voice.
Yeah.
It's not whiskey soaked. It's well beyond that. It's, gargling glass, but in tune. And the album, every single song on that album is memorable, and every single song on that album is a hit in one way or another. So yeah, you can't deny from 1980 that album was not impressionable for everybody that, heard it the first time around. So
it was on my list too, and my song was Shoot to Thrill.
There you go. Another great one. So does that mean we finished our respective, did I kill your third and you killed my first?
Well, you killed my third, but I do have a backup
supplemental?
choice.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
You asked for it by taking Back in Black.
Okay.
Bruce Springsteen, The River.
I knew it was going to happen. That's why I didn't touch any of that. I didn't touch any of Bruce.
Bruce's only double record in his career. Double record studio material.
So happy that there were no other double albums by Bruce.
So many great songs.
What song did you pick?
So many great songs on the record. There's a lot of not so good songs on the record too. I have to be honest. I'm a rocker, and if Paul McCartney is not, if he's on here, what's that one song that we always make fun of on the river? Crush on You, terrible song. But the title track is amazing, Bruce Springsteen. But there's also a great song on there called Drive All Night, which I love. And as if Rachel's watching, she'll say, "Big surprise, he's driving at night." She always has to point out that he's always saying that. But yeah,
he does.
Yes, he does. But Drive All Night is a great song, and The River has a very unique sound to it. So I think it's Bruce being modern in 1980.
There you go. I'll go with one of my supplemental picks as well. And they're going to make a couple of appearances on my lists for sure. The Police, Zenyatta Mondatta. And I'm going to go with Don't Stand So Close to Me, because, that album was, you could see things leading up to Synchronicity with that album. That, and then Ghost in the Machine, then Synchronicity. It just has this upward trajectory, the commercialism, but their musicianship is amazing on this album too. So you can't get bored listening to that album back and forth. There are some honorable mentions. We're not going to rattle off songs, but just to let you know, some other albums that came out that year: Judas Priest, British Steel.
Yep.
Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. Talk about changing of the guard.
I took that one off of my list to put on whatever my second one was.
But to back that up, Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz came out that year too. So don't say it. And then from a completely different aspect, Steely Dan, Gaucho. Another classic album by Steely Dan. Hey 19, just all great hits on that album as well. So that was 1980. And again, we're just going with certain things that we picked. It's not any one genre, though we're going to lean heavy towards rock. And there are lots of other great albums that came out in these years, I promise you. But we have a show that goes about an hour and a half to 2 hours long, sometimes a little longer. If we had to go through most of them and everything I'm sure we wanted to talk about, we'd be here till tomorrow. And frankly, I don't have to work tomorrow. I took tomorrow off. So,
not me.
Well, look at you.
Wait, hang on. Before we move on, what is Paul McCartney saying is the best album of 1980? You're all missing the best album of 1980. You're all
missing the best album of 1980. Well, spit it out. Just say it, man. We're like on a 17-second delay with everyone.
Mark Garney says High Infidelity, REO Speedwagon. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, come on, Paul McCartney.
Come on, hurry up, man. We got to get going on the show here, dude. The Incredible. All right, wait. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put him in timeout. There we go.
Oh, unmasked. Kiss unmasked.
Well, all right, there we go. He's in timeout now because he took too long to get that out of his mouth. So, great. Moving on. Yes, Jeff, I mentioned Heaven and Hell. So, 1981, moving on. Getting a little bit into the decade now. And I'm going to go first because you fucked me over last time. So I'm going to go with my Rush album from 1981, which is arguably their best album, their best known album, their most popular album, one of the best albums ever made in the rock world, prog rock world, and that's Moving Pictures.
Great album.
And if you don't mention that when talking about that year or about Rush in general, there's big problems. So, wait, what is this? There we go. How to get rid of that. I'm tired of looking at his comments because he's not talking. So, so for Moving Pictures, I went with Red Barchetta. And I was torn between two here because I love Vital Signs too. But I think Red Barchetta is a little bit more of what Rush actually does on that album. It's a little proggy. It's a little commercial. It's a lot heavy. Yep. Great drumming in that track. My God.
Imagine that.
But I mean, specifically on that track, like when you listen to it, like, yeah, Tom Sawyer, he plays, he's great. Camera Eye going for like 12 minutes long to keep that up. Yeah. That particular song, his fills, it's almost like he's losing control, but he's not because he's Neil,
Yep.
And it's very instrumental, but yet still like loose cannon kind of stuff coming out with that song. So yeah, absolutely. That had to be in there.
Great pick.
Great
pick.
What's yours? What's your first one?
All right. Arguably, in my opinion, the best Van Halen record. Fair Warning.
That was on my list too. Of course, it's my favorite Van Halen album, so yes.
I think it's most big Van Halen fans' favorite album. It seems like. Got to pick Mean Street. The guitar tone, the lyrics, the performance, Alex Van Halen's drumming on it. I mean, it's just quintessential Van Halen. And what a way to open a record.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on the song. It wouldn't have been my first pick, though. It may have been my third, because I think Unchained, starting off side 2, if you talk about that Brown sound, that's like in your face. But that intro to Mean Streets is
I just love the attitude of Mean Street.
Yeah.
It's just so like, fuck you,
Wait, what is it like?
It's like...
It's like...
Fuck you!
There you
got it.
So, but I would have picked So This Is Love.
I dig that one too.
Because that's just got like a swing to it and a swagger. And it's like, it's sort of like a love song, but it's a question. It's like, so this is love?
Yeah, right.
And the guitar solo is attainable for most guitarists to play that are of even a mediocre level, but it's a fun guitar solo to play. And it's sloppy and messy, and I love it. And the mix is terrible, but it's such a great tune, period. So yeah, that's what I would have went with that one. All right. I said that this band was going to make it on here more than once. And already, we did that with Rush. Doing it with the Police, too. Ghost in the Machine. And,
I had it on my list, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great, great album. We think too much alike sometimes, except for the Bruce shit and the Grateful Dead shit and all that other shit. But yeah, October 2nd, 1981, the Police came out with Ghost in the Machine. And my favorite Police song ever is on this album. I could have picked anything off this album and it would have been brilliant because this album is almost perfect. But Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic is, to me, just the quintessential Police song. It's got a little bit of everything that they ever did. If somebody said, give me a song that typifies the Police, I would play that one for them.
I had Demolition Man.
Again, another great song. You could have picked most anything off that album, and it's just a great tune. Well, we both shot out each of our other. All right, you go ahead.
Okay. Often overlooked record from this artist, but there's one glowing achievement on it, and I think it's one of the best songs of his career. Bob Dylan, "Shot of Love," 1981. One of his what's looked at as his Christian period, even though it's not really his Christian period. However, this song definitely has that vibe to it. Every Grain of Sand, which it's just lyrically, like most Dylan songs, is just a fucking masterpiece and a mind-blowing song. And I just don't think enough people know about it, and that's why I put it on the list. I just think it's not talked about as much in his career. So, and I love this record too. It's kind of funky rock. I don't even know how to describe it. It's all over the place.
Dylan funk rock.
Yes, but Every Grain of Sand is just such a great song. So that's why I added it on here.
Well, since Fair Warning got blown up, I have to go with one of my other honorable mentions, and there were several that came through on here. I'm going to go with Def Leppard, High and Dry.
Oh, wow.
That's a killer album, and Bringing On the Heartbreak is just like an anthem from that album. That album has a bunch of really good tunes on it. If you've never heard the album like the whole way through, listen to it. I mean, there's maybe a couple you're just like, but most of that album is really, really good as well. And it's, the introduction with Mutt Lange and, again, sort of previewed things to come a few years later.
Lady Strange.
Yep. Another
great stuff. All right. So I'll pull one of my honorable mentions then, since you took The Police. This one's going to blow people's minds. Street Songs, Rick James.
Oh, nice.
Killer record. If you like funky, dirty rock, I mean, there's rock elements to it. Whole record front to back is amazing. Of course, everybody knows Super Freaking Give It To Me, Baby, but below the Funk, Past the J is great. Mr. Policeman's great. Fucking awesome record.
Awesome. Well, some other things from 1981, some other honorable mentions from 1981. The Human League came out with an album called Dare, which you probably know for the song Don't You Want Me, Baby.
Yep.
So that came out. The Rolling Stones, Tattoo You.
That was one of my honorable mentions as well.
Stevie Nicks, Belladonna. I mean, the classic Stevie Nicks album. And Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love. Leather Records, 1981. And
Leather.
believe me, if you have one of those first ones, you'll get like $1,200 for it.
I had one at one point.
And you sold it for?
Like $350.
Oh my God. I bet you're regretting that now.
That was like 2012, maybe. It was. Okay. I mean, everything's at the height right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. All right, moving on to 1982. Nick, you go first.
Ooh, what do I pick? Maybe I'll pick this because I think you're going to steal it if I don't. Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast.
It was on my list. It was on my list, but it wasn't my number one. It was on my list, but it wasn't my first one.
I didn't rank them, so I'm just pulling in whatever order. But Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, maybe their best record. I don't know. It's the one I go back to the most. Although Peace of Mind, Power Slave, all fantastic.
Those three, it was just boom, boom, boom. Like those three in a row are just hard to deny all those.
And for the tune, just because it was so great being a part of it the other night when they played it, as generic as it is, Run to the Hills.
It's a great song.
Yes.
For me, October 27th was a big day. Big day for the color purple.
Yep.
Because this guy, who went by the name of Prince, currently dead.
Might be back.
You never know. But currently dead, looking to make a comeback. Released the album in 1999. And obviously a classic in and of itself. The dude was smart. He's like, you know what? In about 17 years from now, even if I'm not famous until then again, I'm going to become famous again because I have this 1999 song from the album 1999, and it worked. But I went with the song Little Red Corvette just because when I was a kid, that was such a great pop song in the minor key. It's just such a great tune and a fun tune to listen to. So
love it. Great record. And I just want to say how we said currently dead might come back. If there was anybody that wouldn't even like faze me if they fake their own death, it would be Prince.
Yeah, really.
I'd be like, oh yeah, go figure.
But that would be like, oh, Prince is back. Big shot.
There you go. Him or Bowie.
Yeah. Well, now Bowie, I think, is really gone. I think he's definitively an ex-Bowie.
An ex-Bowie. I went with one of my favorite albums of all time, Donald Fagen, The Nightfly.
I kind of thought you were going to pick that.
Yeah, I love that record.
I stayed away from it for that reason.
it's
Didn't he win a Grammy for that one too?
I think so. It's one of the first digital recordings ever. Some say it's the first. I don't know if that can be proven, but which is funny though, with the whole, the MoFi digital thing. They did a one step of that, but check this out. It's always known for being one of the first premier digital recordings, but they also made an analog master tape of it, and that's what MoFi used to do the one step. So the company everyone's mad at for doing digital did the analog version of the most popular digital record.
And people bought it.
And people bought it, including myself. Masterpiece front to back. If you like Steely Dan, you'll love The Night Fly, although this is a little bit more throwback style. There's some a lot of harmony vocals on it and stuff, but I picked Green Flower Street. Just a great song. IGY, of course, is fantastic. Walk Through the Raindrops, the closing track is great, but my pick for if somebody said what's the best song on the record, I would say Green Flower Street.
May 14th was a big day for punk. Well, I guess reformed punk in a way, because The Clash released Combat Rock. And come on, I mean, talk about blowing up on radio. You couldn't go anywhere on radio or on MTV. Like, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing the Rock the Casbah video or hearing the song on rock radio or alternative radio. It hit so many different types of stations that you just turn the dial and there it is again. It's like oldie station. Oh, there it is. How did it wind up on the oldie station? But yeah, I went with Combat Rock, and of course I picked Rock the Casbah because it's just a fun tune.
I think it's pretty funny how commercial the Clash really are. Yeah. Especially in hindsight. I mean, the Clash have 4 or 5 tunes that are on classic rock radio every day.
Yeah. Tons.
Which is more than the Ramones. You don't hear the Ramones on classic rock radio.
I think the songs are too short. There's not enough time to queue up another song before, all right, let's put on this Ramones tune. Let me get a drink of water. Oh, wait, I got to put on another song.
It's over.
It's done. It finished already. Yeah. So anyway, that's a great album. What do you got for your third?
My last pick, Duran Duran, Rio.
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised too, but I just think about talk about there's in the 80s, I think it was the premiere. I wasn't there, but in hindsight, it seems like it was the premiere time of so many genres interweaving with one another and having them all be successful. So you had heavy metal, you had pop music, you had R&B, you had of course just straight metal. All of that was starting. But I think the thing with Duran Duran is a good marriage of building on what the Police were doing of this sort of eclectic music with a lot of different influences coming in with good pop hooks. I don't think Duran Duran are as good as the Police, of course, but Rio the track, I think is just I think it's a definitive song for Duran Duran. And let's be honest, the bass playing on it is fucking brilliant.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. He's absolutely outstanding, and you'd be hard pressed. It's funny because you talk about that in the early 80s, early to mid 80s. A lot of those, let's call them fringe new wave bands, pop new wave bands, they had some killer bass players. Level 42, Mark King. Yeah. Come on. I mean, the guy was incredible. The Thumbs of Glory, just amazing. Yeah. Let's see. Jeffrey Odin said it's called new wave. Yes.
Does Duran Duran completely qualify for that though?
For new wave?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
That's why I call
either.
it fringe new wave. It's more pop than anything else. But
exactly.
But there was a lot of synth and a lot that was drawn off those new wave bands. They just did it with a little bit more of a hook.
Right. Right. And I think that's always what's made a band like Duran Duran stand the test of time, because you bring up Level 42, great band, but nobody's playing Level 42 songs still. Nope. But they are playing Duran Duran songs, and I think it's because the hooks are so good and the choruses are so good and the songwriting's so good. Nick didn't have Abracadabra on his 82 list. No, that will be talked about, though, in this show.
Will it? Oh, yeah. I'm sure it will. I know when we're going to talk about it, too. Now that you mentioned it, obviously I know when that's going to happen. Since you took Number of the Beast, I have to look at what mine are. You know what? I'm going to go with something interesting here. Rap was up and coming too. You know, rap really started to form in the early 80s, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five in 1982 came out with The Message.
Yeah.
And that was like the first sort of like rap tune, you know, like the first rap album was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. So you got to pay a little tribute to that too. So I'm going to throw that on the old playlist as well. And the thing is, that song was sampled so many times thereafter by other rap artists. It's like, how could you deny that they were not formative for like the rap genre? They totally were.
Yep.
So that was 1982. All right, moving on to 1983. I'm going to go first because you're a dick. And the first one I have on my list, January 20th, the earliest release of the year. Again, you know, it's funny. You're going to see a lot of bands repeated on here, and this is because it was at a time that bands came out with albums either every year or every other year, like clockwork.
Pretty much every year.
Yeah, it's just boom, boom, boom. It just keeps coming out. Another one, another one, another one. So Def Leppard released Pyromania in January 20th, 1983. And again, a classic album. You could pick almost anything from that album, and it'll be great. But I went with Photograph. Because
me too. I had the same exact thing.
So it's such a great album. It's undeniable. And the song still holds up. And when they play it live, they still kill it. So I give them a lot of credit for that.
Great song.
You're up.
Okay, hang on. I'm changing my Pyromania out here. Okay, now I'm going to take one because I know you have this as well. Police, Synchronicity.
It was in my honorable mentions. I was going to give it to you because I knew that you were going to pick it.
I mean, I feel like we talk about this record every other show.
Yeah,
it's so
totally.
great. So great. It's hard to pick.
If not for the good songs, for the worst song ever written, which is Mother.
Other than that, the record is flawless, in my opinion. Other than Mother.
Mother.
Is Gall McCartney still blocked?
Yeah, he is. Oh no. I think he can.
Is he back? Because he hates that you rip on Mother. Look, he just put. I think Mike's gonna pick Mother.
But you know what? We're talking about Goldfish. So, you know, Gall McCartney is just not. You know, his taste is squarely in his mouth. And if he thinks that Mother's a good song, well, I got a bridge that I can sell you in Brooklyn, and I got a fist I could stick down your throat. Either way, it's gonna have the same result. You're gonna be upset.
Well, it was hard to pick just one track because both Synchronicity and Synchronicity Part 2 are great. King of Pain is great, but I picked Wrapped Around Your Finger because I think it's just
track.
I just think it's a perfect it's just a perfect Police track. Yep. I don't know the actual way to describe it. Is it a ballad? Is it a love song? Is it a stalker song? Is it a you, I'm leaving song? Like, I mean, there's so many ways it could be taken, but I just think it's just such a fantastic song. Amazing lyrics from Sting on that, and the bass and drum interaction between Copeland and Sting, just setting the mood on that. It's just such a great song.
And all the bell percussion and everything that's in there, it really does set a mood. And then, you know, even the video, you know, was good for that too. So no, that's an incredible album. It's an incredible album.
Yep.
Number 2 that I went with, July 25th.
I like that you're giving all the dates. I love that you're giving all the dates. It's great because it does put it in context. Because you're like, okay, July 25th, it's hotter than fuck out.
Yep.
What came out?
Metallica, Kill 'Em All. That was when that album was released, I mean, there were other, like 83 was a really great year for thrash because it was the same year that Show No Mercy came out. Like, there's a lot of great stuff that came out that year. But Kill 'Em All, I guess, would be sort of the crowning achievement of it all because it was Metallica when Metallica was metal.
Yep.
Like when they were actually Metallica, when they had like the best parts of punk and just, you know, did the
as much as I bag on Metallica, you can't bag on Kill 'Em All. It's flawless.
and I went with the song Whiplash, because why not go with one of the fastest songs on that album? It was either that or like Motor Breath. It was one of the two.
I love Motor Breath. Phantom Lord's another good one.
I'm not a big fan of Phantom Lord. I do
Really?
like the sort of synth bass intro to that, but it just sort of like it's a little cartoony for me.
That's what I like about it.
I'm not saying it's a bad song. It's just not one of my favorites on the album. But Whiplash is definite, home run. So
Great
you're up,
pick.
sir.
Great pick. Okay, so since I changed out, what did I get rid of that you had already picked? Oh, Def Leppard.
Pyromania. Yeah.
I replaced it with SRV, Texas Flood.
Nice. That was on my honorable mentions for sure.
Okay. So I don't know. It's like this record and Couldn't Stand the Weather are both fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think the song Texas Flood is like, you were talking earlier about like definitive songs of being able to say like, what are the Police about? What are Metallica about? Like Texas Flood, I think, is a great representation of what Stevie Ray Vaughan is. A tasteful guitar playing, that laid back, but at the same time in your face blues. And just, I mean, it's just a lesson in how to destroy a Strat in the best way possible. It's like so good. And of course, Pride and Joy's on that record, and all
That's
of his
one everybody would know.
Exactly, but there's just something special about the song Texas Flood, so that's why I picked that.
And Mary Had a Little Lamb is on that album.
Yep.
Great choice. My third choice, on November 21st, before Thanksgiving, to make it for Black Friday, this album was released by Duran Duran. Possibly my favorite Duran Duran album, Seven and the Ragged Tiger.
Yes.
Now, everybody loves that album because, the first thing they think of is Reflex. And Reflex is a great tune. I went with New Moon on Monday because
Great song.
The chorus just has that, it just modulates up that half step as that chorus gets introed. And that just does something emotionally for me. It just connects. So for me, just going New Moon on Monday, I love that song. I never got sick of that song. In fact, I remember back when I was living in New York, Z100 was the station. That was like the station to listen to, Z100. And they had a morning zoo and all that stupid shit. But they would run contests like, if you call right now, you can win 2 tickets to see Duran Duran is when you let us know when the next New Moon on Monday is. And people like ripping through their calendars. Like, it's October 22nd. October 22nd.
I miss that part of radio so much, where it was like they would come up with shit like that.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore because of the internet. Another thing the internet's
that
ruined.
Nobody cares about radio.
People care.
About radio?
I think you're being a dick.
I think they care about satellite radio.
Satellite radio is not that cool, to be honest, unless you're listening to Howard Stern. But
Which I do. So.
well, me too.
You're up.
Okay, my last pick for 1983. The band had put out a couple of records by this point, but I think this was the first time they became what we know them as, and that is the album War by U2.
It's on my another one that's on my honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions, yeah.
Yep.
It's I mean, you have New Year's Day, which is the track I picked, which I think is maybe the best U2 song. And also Sunday Bloody Sunday's on it.
Yep.
It's a game changer for U2. That's when they start their rise to stardom. The 2 records before it, Boy and October, are both great, but I think they're still finding their way. So like I said, this is, I think, when U2 becomes U2,
Yep.
and it's that stepping stone to Unforgettable Fire, which of course then they just, blow up huge. So, and then, to Joshua Tree. But I picked New Year's Day. I think War is a great record, and I think it's a great marriage of stardom, superstardom U2, and that still like underground U2 from the first 2 records.
I got to look up something. Sorry. Sorry about that. No, it's a great choice. And I'm not even a really big U2 fan, but you can't deny that album being like that sort of like formative thing for them. It definitely cemented who they were, for sure. Musically.
Yes.
So now, as far as honorable mentions, We talked about a bunch of them already. We picked them. But again, I mentioned Slayer, Show No Mercy, Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind, right? Madonna's first album.
Yep.
You know, can't deny that.
I've got here are my 3 honorable mentions, which are all over.
But okay.
Oh, go ahead, finish.
Because I know that one of them you probably have.
Okay.
And that's Let's Dance by David Bowie.
Actually, it wasn't on my list.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, because I do love that record. I think I just skipped over it. I think I forgot it was from 1983, to be honest with you.
And the last one that I had was New Order, Power, Corruption, and Lies. Because again, from the new wave aspect, that's another cornerstone. It's your turn.
Here's my 3. Huey Lewis and the News Sports. Out of Step by Minor Threat.
All right, those could not be 2 different albums.
And then we're the icing on the cake for my honorable mentions for 1983. Melissa by Merciful Fate.
Nice. Nice. That's a good one to put on there. All right, moving on to 1984. Now, 1984, I have like 15 honorable mentions. Like, this was a year that all the good albums came out.
Yep.
Like, all
it's a
of them.
good one. It's a really good one.
I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
I guarantee we're going to pick each other's things. I just.
Are we though? Because I kind of went.
so.
All right. Well, I know one of them you're not going to pick. So I'll go
I know.
first.
I know one. Yeah, you're right. But it's on my honorable mentions list. I did put it on the honorable mentions list.
Okay. Well, you got to pick it. The height of his superstardom, Springsteen, Born in the USA. 9 singles off that fucking record. 9 out of 11 tracks are singles on that record. I mean, you have, of course, the title track. You have I'm on Fire, Downbound Train, My Hometown, Dancing in the Dark, Glory Days. So many songs that people associate with Bruce Springsteen are on that record. The track I chose from the album is No Surrender.
No surrender.
No surrender. We learn more from a
surrender in
we
my
learn-
car.
we learn more from a
surrender in
3-minute
Jersey.
record than we ever learned in
I have
school.
no idea how the song goes, but I'm gonna think it goes like that.
You're not far.
Boo, Springsteen.
You know what blows my mind is like I can't believe like Bruce is as huge as he is, because I swear to God, no matter where I go, there's like 90% of the people hate Bruce.
It's one of those things where he's just, you like him or you don't. Never like, Bruce is okay. I like that one song. You don't hear that about Bruce. It just doesn't. He was never that guy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Bobby Jean. Paul McCartney pointed out Bobby Jean. That is what I should have picked.
But you didn't. You won't.
No, leave it at
surrender.
Leave no surrender.
Thank you for leaving this one for me. On January 9th of 1984, an album called 1984 came out by a band called 1984. No, wait. The band is obviously Van Halen. And it really sucked for them because it was the number 2 album for so long, because Michael Jackson's Thriller, which came out in 1983, was number 1 forever.
Yep.
So they could never, I loved it when Sammy came and was like, well, they never had a number 1 album with David Lee Roth. Like, well, they would have if there wasn't Michael fucking Jackson,
With the number 1 selling record of all time. Like, God damn it, Sammy. Let's qualify that statement a little bit, okay? But yeah, at 1984, again, it's one of those almost. In fact, it is kind of a perfect. I can't think of a bad song off that album. Like every. But what
song,
did you pick? What was your
Hot for
track?
Teacher. I had a hard time picking a song, but it was either that or Panama. It was like.
I think Panama is like the quintessential track, but I love I'll Wait and I love Girl Gone Bad.
Girl Gone Bad is awesome.
Yeah.
Top Jimmy, Drop Dead, like all of those songs are great. All of them are great. There is not one bad track on that album. It is a perfect album. I still like Fair Warning better.
Yeah.
I still like Fair Warning better because it's dirtier and just filthy.
Yeah.
And it just has a better vibe. But both albums, there is nothing wrong with either one of those albums.
Yes.
But it was really nice to see Van Halen bounce back after the shit show that was Diver Down.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. All right, you're up.
A nice final exclamation point on the DLR era.
Yes.
Okay, I went with Twisted Sister Stay Hungry.
Nice.
I think it's a fucking killer hard rock metal album. The production is weak, and I think that's always what's kind of killed Twisted Sister is the bad production on their records, and they'll be the first ones to admit it. But Stay Hungry is an awesome album. There's of course their classic tunes of I Wanna Rock and We're Not Gonna Take It on there, but there's great songs like Captain Howdy and SMF, Burn in Hell. Yeah, exactly. Just great shit.
Yeah.
But I picked the title track, Stay Hungry. I think it's awesome, which if you have the original in the liner notes, it says dedicated to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Nice. Stay hungry.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting that album you feel is not, the production value isn't all that great because Mobile Fidelity did their version of it too.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard it.
I have it.
Is it worth getting though? Because I mean, I agree with you that to an extent that the production value of that album is a bit weak, but it was also, you know, you're talking about early mid 80s, you know, heavy metal. People didn't know how to mix a lot of that at the time. A lot of people recorded with too much distortion. You learn later you just need less and just more tracks of it. But
the problem with Stay Hungry, I think, is it's really dry. There's not a lot of, other than on The Price, which I think that's the best sounding song on the record.
It is.
But like Burn in Hell is like, that's a straight heavy duty metal track. And the drum sound is not good. But what I found in the Mobile Fidelity version is that they boosted the bass, and they put the vocals are a little bit more out front, but again, you know, Mobile Fidelity's not remixing the record, so you're just getting, you know, it's just sonically better in some ways. But that record needed it doesn't need a remix; it needs a re-record, but re-recorded 2 weeks after they did the original recording, not re-recorded in 2004, which they did.
Pardon me 1 second. Drop it now. Drop the hat. You can have this hat. Take this hat. All right, so he has a hat that he can eat, but he's now eating my Jane's Addiction hat, which I don't want him to do. And he's not now. Come here, buddy. Come here. I love you. You're a good boy. That's right. Okay. June 25th, 1984. One of the greatest albums ever recorded, period, was released. Again, Prince. The album is Purple Rain.
Yep.
Can't talk about 1984 without talking about Purple Rain.
Nope.
And again, it's every song on that album is perfect.
Yep.
There's no bad songs on that album. The movie was okay. It was okay. But the album is
Prince,
amazing.
God damn it.
I just keep thinking, like every time that happens, I just go, Bobby, God damn it! I just keep thinking like was that the inspiration for King of the Hill? Like Bobby.
You know what else always
God
happens
damn it.
too in that movie is this, where you only see half of Prince's face, where he's looking around the corner.
Because that's what you need to do. You have to purify yourself in Lake Minnetonka.
Yes.
That's not Lake Minnetonka. And I, of course, went with the dirtiest track on the album, Darling Nikki. So
Great stuff.
yeah. But again, you could have picked anything and it would have been cool. But Darling Nikki is just dirty.
It is.
Just dirty.
Prince, Purple Rain was in my honorable mentions, and my track was Take Me With You.
Great track.
Yes.
Again, super poppy, even by Prince's standards.
Yep.
All right, your turn.
Okay. So I went with this album simply for this track, because I always tell people I think it's one of the most perfectly written pop rock songs ever. Bryan Adams' Reckless.
Wow.
Summer of '69.
I got my first real six string.
Yeah, you sound just like him, only you're not Canadian.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. I just think that song's fucking great. I probably heard it 100,000 times in my life, and I still think it's great. So,
no, look, it's a great tune. It's a great example of, A, B, chorus, bridge, chorus, out.
The format is
Yeah.
pretty generic, but like every part is just perfect. Like the bridge is fucking great. The ride out is perfect. Like I don't know. I think it's such a well written song, and the production is very 1980s. It's very big, and the drums have a unique sound to them. There's a lot of reverb on the drums.
Oh, yeah.
And the kickback on the drums, which it's funny when you think about like what I was just saying about Twisted Sister, like that these records came out within a few months of each other, and you could tell who got the big budget and who didn't, because the Bryan Adams record, that record probably cost like $200,000 to make, and the Twisted Sister record probably cost like $20,000 to make.
Probably like $300 and a ham sandwich.
Exactly.
Somebody get us a pizza.
Yes, but I think it's a great representation of that time period.
It's a great song, great album,
Yes.
March 18th of 1984 was
Here's
another
one
great
you might
day.
now. Here's one you might remember. Coming out March 18th, 1984.
And it's something that I'm surprised that we didn't bring up this band during the Power Pop episode, though I think we did a little bit. Wait, did we? The Cars.
Yes.
Heartbeat City.
We did not bring up the Cars on the Power Pop episode, but we
Talked
should
about
have.
Elliot Easton,
Yes.
but not the Cars per se. So, Heartbeat City came out, and again, there's like 6 hits on that album.
Yeah.
But I went with probably the most upbeat and poppiest of them all, which is You Might Think.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah. And the video was actually one of the first videos to actually incorporate like digital animation in it. So,
yeah. Is that when like Rick Ocasek is the Fly?
yeah, exactly.
I used to.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say there was one of my favorites is like when, there's a car coming, like driving up the bed underneath the covers. And it's like, the way I run you down. And he like runs over and then she's just like flat, like on the bed.
It's terrible.
It's so terrible in by today's standards. But back then it was just like, look at that digital treatment. Oh my Lord. It's like, it's real.
Paul McCartney and I were just talking about You Might Think, because I said to him, like, I used to hate that song when I was younger, like, because I love the first Cars record, and Candy O's great too.
Yeah.
But I was like, what is this shit? Like, I didn't like it. And then, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I heard it and I was like, this song's fucking great. What was I thinking?
It is. It's a great power pop song.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You can't deny the way that they wrote hooks and choruses, and it was well produced too.
Yes.
All right, you're up.
Didn't I do all my songs? I did all my songs, or my
3?
albums. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I did
then-
Twisted Sister, Springsteen, and Bryan Adams. But let me just touch on one of my honorable mentions that is being talked about in the comments here. Don Henley building the perfect beast just because of Boys of Summer.
And All She Wants to Do Is Dance is on there.
I hate All She Wants to Do Is Dance.
The Dirty Laundry was on the album before that, right?
I think that's on I Can't Stand Still, or I Can't Sit Still, or whatever it's called.
I can't stand Don Henley, so
Yeah, but Boys of Summer, that's mostly Mike Campbell, except for the fantastic lyrics, which is Don Henley.
well, go Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knob.
Wait a minute. Mark Carney just said All She Wants to Do Is Dance is just awesome. I don't think so. Sorry, Mark, I gotta disagree. That song is not good. That song is not good.
Moving on. Oh, wait.
Pat Middlestat is blowing my mind because all he's talking about in the comments is like Saxon and what did he said something about Twisted Sister, Love at First Sting. The other day when Pat
Love at
came
First
in,
Sting Love at First Sting is in my honorable mentions.
well, when Pat came in the other day, though, he had been golfing all day, and you don't usually picture anybody that's golfing cranking up fucking Saxon, but.
I golf,
but you're like not a real golfer, Mike. You just golf because people golf.
No, I golfed a lot.
I don't
It
know.
used to be a thing I would do like by myself.
I'm really good at Golden Tee, So there's that.
Well, okay, good. So honorable mentions from 1984. Again, I mentioned that there were a lot of great albums that came out this year, and we could have talked about all of them. Iron Maiden, Power Slave,
Fucking great.
right? Run DMC, their first album. Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense, a great live album. Rush, Grace Under Pressure, not so much good.
No, thank you.
But Merciful Fate, Don't Break the Oath.
Yes, that was on my list.
Anthrax, Fistful of Metal.
Yep.
Scorpions, Love at First Sting. Rat, Out of the Cellar.
Out of the Cellar was one of my other ones.
And Steve Vai, Flexible, his first solo album.
There you go.
So that's pretty cool. All right, moving on. 1985. Do I go first?
Yes, I went first last time.
Okay. I didn't go with so 1985 was a tough one. It was not a banner year for music in my mind. And looking at the releases from that year, there were some really good ones, which we're going to talk about, but I was a little strained trying to find something that I really could wrap my arms around from that year. You know, there are a couple of things that are in my honorable mentions, like Dire Straits, Brother in Arms. I bought that album because of the whatever Money for Nothing and the video, but that's not on my top three. It was tough finding something that I really embraced from that year. But October 18th, however, The Cult came out with Love, and you have to talk about She Sells Sanctuary. I mean,
yes.
just that really was,
And Rain
for that matter. But She Sells Sanctuary specifically from like the radio aspect of it, that got the play, that got them popular, that started building up The Cult to where they are now, which a new album just dropped for them. So
last week, yep.
Congratulations.
And
to them
and for people that are fans of the Love era of The Cult, that record is right up your alley.
Yep. So, and I know he's not watching, but hi, John Tempesta, a good friend of mine who's actually drumming for The Cult. So
yes.
So that's my first pick.
Okay. My first pick for 1985, Exodus, Bonded by Blood.
That was on my honorable mentions. Yep.
I don't think there's any song that's more associated with Exodus than Bonded by Blood. And the album artwork is fucking awesome. Yeah. And I think what's great about that Exodus record is it's like building on the Slayer Metallica thing. But I don't know, there's something special about the attitude on Bonded by Blood from Paul Bailoff, and of course, just classic riffs from Gary Holt. You got Piranha on there, and then There Were None. But the song Bonded by Blood, I think, is a defining track for Exodus, and it's one of those banner thrash metal songs. So Bonded by Blood, Exodus.
There you go. February 25th was a very good day for fans that really enjoyed the band Tears for Fears. And songs from the Big Chair. Damn it,
you took one of my albums.
Sorry. But yeah, songs from the Big Chair came out then, and I went with Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I mean, that was my first introduction to that. A lot of people's first introduction to that band, even beyond Shout,
Yes.
Which is a great tune, but Everybody Wants to Rule the World just has like a really great pop sensibility in the way that they, like as they're ending the song, they come back to it again to say that I love that,
Yes.
Going into the outro, it's a really cool way to kind of call back a portion of the song again. Like, we don't want to finish the song just yet. We really like it. We want to keep it going a little bit more. So yeah, I really dig that tune, and they're still kicking around today.
Their that record that came out last year is awesome. Tipping Point, I think it's called. I had songs from the Big Chair on my list as well, and my track pick was Head Over Heels.
Another great tune,
which I love. Okay, my next pick, we're coming around. We're going to repeat another artist, Prince, Around the World in a Day. Song, Raspberry Beret.
Nice. I don't know if I would have picked that album per se, but that song is great.
I love the album because especially coming off Purple Rain, it's such like a psychedelic vibe happening on it. Like the song Paisley Park, and I think Pop Life is on there as well.
Pop Life is on there.
Yeah, so it's just
what's that other one? Neurotic City? Is that on there too?
No, Erotic City's on that's on like Dirty Mind.
Neurotic City. I'm sorry. I thought it was on that one.
I think it is. Now you got me thinking maybe I'm wrong. I thought that was on like an earlier Prince record, to be honest with you.
Maybe it was. I don't know. I thought it may have been. I thought it was about that time. But then again, that might have been just when I discovered that song. Was around that time, so.
But I think Raspberry Beret is Prince's best. You brought up Little Red Corvette, but I think Raspberry Beret is in that same like line of like mainstream Prince, and that I think Raspberry Beret has Little Red Corvette just by like a little bit.
Let's see. So Erotic City was, I'm looking it up right now. It actually was the B-side of I Would Die For You.
Wow. So Purple Rain area.
Initially was released as a B-side to 1984 single Let's Go Crazy and the 12-inch version of the 1986 single Girls and Boys. Let's see. The artwork single was oh no, I'm sorry. The artwork was used was the same image of Prince that was on the I Would Die For You single. But yeah, it was the B-side of Let's Go Crazy. Interesting.
Wow. I didn't know that. You learn something every day.
Exactly. So let's go back to 1984. Let's see. Now, my third one, I guarantee you didn't pick.
Okay.
There's no way that this is. And again, I had a hard time.
Yeah, this is a hard year.
It was a weird year. But Carnivore made their debut.
Yes.
So with their debut album, Carnivore, and, Miss You, Peter. World Wars 3 and 4. That song is just great. I mean, you want to talk about like a great crossover record, and crossover was like that whole hardcore punk metal thing. Like it just literally, that was the big days of CBGBs, New York hardcore. A lot of crossover is what they would call it, this fusion of metal and hardcore. And they were like the epitome of it. And when you have a guy that's like 6'8" screaming at you through a microphone while playing bass, yeah, you tend to listen.
Yes.
And so, yeah, Carnivore's first album, World Wars 3 and 4 is the song.
Love it. Okay, replacing Tears for Fears for me, Accept, Metal Heart.
Metal Heart.
And the track I picked is Up to the Limit.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I love Accept. That I love that Metal Heart record. That's another one that really suffers for production. It's like just soaked in reverb and delay and makes it a little bit of a bummer to listen to. But the title track's great. Midnight Movers on there, which is like totally trying to get some radio airplay. But I love Up to the Limit. It's got all the great Accept backup vocals. Nobody does backup vocals better than Accept. Sounds like 85 people recorded vocals.
Yeah, it's like gang vocals beyond belief.
Yeah.
Yep.
And all of them, including Udo on his solo stuff, has just carried that all the way till this day. I sent you that version of him doing Nutbush City.
Yeah, it just...
And he's got like 80 people on that going, Nutbush City Limits.
It's just weird. It's just so weird. I do have to hear him doing My Way. Like that.
Oh my God. No, you don't. Trust me.
I do. I need to hear that.
I've lived a life of ease. I love like in that nut bush that I sent you was like, I love his like his broken English accent and the things that he's saying. Like when he goes, you go to store on Friday. Like to store, not the store.
No, you go to store on Friday.
Yeah, right. So good.
You got to listen to it like closed caption, like that makes it better. As far as other honorable mentions from this year, well, Faith No More came out with We Care a Lot.
Oh, wow. God, I can't believe that was in 85.
Yep, that was with Chuck Mosley on vocals. Run DMC, King of Rock. I easily could have picked that, and put that in my deal. Megadeth, Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good. Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms, I mentioned that. But also, for you Stranger Things fans, Kate Bush, Hounds of Love, which features Run Up That Hill, which I don't get it. I don't understand why that song is like so super popular now.
Everyone loves it.
I guess, except me.
You're not into it.
No, I'm not.
Except me.
Yeah. All right. 1986. This was 1986 was a good year for metal, for sure, but also for rap and a lot of other things. You go first.
Okay, gotta pick this record because it's one of my favorites of all time. I always spotlight it. I always talk about it. XTC Skylarking.
Nice.
Front to back, fantastic. Out of this world, great. If you haven't heard it, you don't know what you're missing. And I only discovered this record like a year and a half ago.
I can't believe it took you that long to discover.
Yeah, it's up there with all whatever you think is the greatest record. It's up there with it.
I don't know about that.
I think so.
You can.
Well, I would put it up there with like I don't know, like the Sgt. Pepper and Pet Sounds and all those records.
No, are you kidding me? It's a great album, but it's not Pet Sounds level.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God, really?
Do you have the remastered 200
It doesn't
gram
matter.
vinyl?
It doesn't. I could have the remastered handed to me by Jenna Jameson. It doesn't matter. It's not on the same
What
level
a
as Pet
dated
Sounds.
reference that is.
Yeah, well, look at how old I am. But it doesn't matter. It remastered, remixed, redone, reformatted, rewritten, nothing. It doesn't matter. It's a great album. I love the remix and remaster by Steven Wilson. It's great. Okay, but it is not Pet Sounds and Sgt. Pepper great.
Yes, it is.
Is
that
not.
the album with Mayor Simpleton? No, that's on. That is on.
Strings and
Orange.
Wires,
No, Oranges and Lemons.
Oh, it's the other thing.
Yeah. When's the last time she was in anything? I think it was Blink 182. What's My Age Again video.
No, that was the other one. That was Janine Lindemuller.
Well, there you go. Anyways, Skylarking is fucking great, and I picked Ballet for a Rainy Day.
There you go. But it's still not as good as Pet Sounds or Sgt. Pepper. I'm sorry. It's just not.
I disagree with you.
It's good. It's great. It's not that level.
You're not going to convince me otherwise, and I'm not going to convince you, so just drop it.
No.
What are you going to pick? Power Windows or some garbage like that?
No, it's not even on my... Power Windows by Rush is not on here. It came out in 86, I believe.
It was 85 or 86. I can't
think
remember.
It was 86. But yeah, it's not even on here. Like Power Windows is nowhere near here. Same thing with Hold Your Fire. It's nowhere near here. So
Which one has Time Stand Still?
Hold Your Fire.
I love that song.
No, go away. Actually, I don't mind Time Stand Still. When maybe Power Windows was 85. I don't know. They were coming out. Everybody was coming out with a lot of albums at that point. But for me, I don't know what day it came out, but in 1986, it definitely came out. David Lee Roth struck out on his own.
Damn it, you took one of mine.
And came out with Eat 'Em and Smile, introducing the world at large to Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai, and Greg Bissonette, for that matter. One of the best backup bands ever assembled, ever.
Yes.
Every single one of those guys are masters at what they do. And Greg Bissonette, he doesn't come up in the circles of like best drummer ever, which is fine. But the dude was versatile, did everything great. Used to play with orchestras. He was the guy who was able to like set up like all the horn sections and everything. Vai wrote all that stuff, but Greg Bissonette arranged it. So, I got to give him a lot of credit. And of course, Billy Sheehan's Billy Sheehan. So
that record is just outstanding.
Yeah. Again, not one song on there is bad. You can drop the needle, you listen to the whole thing.
Yep.
So
what song did you pick though?
I picked Going Crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
My pick was Shy Boy.
Shy Boy's not his song though. That's why I wouldn't go with that. That's actually a Tallis song. And Tallis was Billy Sheehan's band before he joined David Lee Roth. So Shy Boy's great, but it's not his song. So that was my hesitance. You could still pick it. But by the way, XTC Skylarking is not on the level of Pet Sounds, Sgt. Pepper.
What about Grass?
What about it?
The song Grass on Skylarking.
I don't remember.
No, I don't think you've listened to it enough to make a good opinion.
No, I made an opinion. It's not as good as Sgt. Pepper. It's just not.
You know what? To be honest with you, and you know what a giant Beatles fan I am.
Yeah.
I don't think Sgt. Pepper is even their best album, let alone the best album of all time.
It's not, but at the same time, XTC's Skylarking is still not that good. It's not up to that level.
It's better. Most of the songs on Skylarking are better than Good Morning and With and Without You.
You picked two of the weirdest songs on the album? Okay.
Okay, they're up there with like Mr. Kite, which is fucking great.
For the benefit of Mr. Kite is amazing.
I
don't know if Dear God is up to the level of any of those songs.
Really? You don't think lyrically it stands up to With a Little Help from My Friends?
It's an atheist anthem, which kind of like, I'm okay with it, but a lot of people aren't. So, moving on. It's your turn.
Okay. My next pick.
We've got a few years to get through here.
Run DMC, Raising Hell.
Nice. It was in my honorable mentions. So
Peter
which one did you
Piper.
go with, though?
Peter
Piper. Nice.
The opening track.
Yep. Got to get some nursery rhymes out of the way.
Yes. Great shit.
Awesome. Cool. Good choice. Well, to counteract that, I'm going with a rap album released on November 15th. The Beastie Boys, License to Ill. But I went with probably the least rap song on the album, and that's No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Yes. Yeah, that's hardly a rap song.
And that's, partially because Kerry King played the guitar solo that's on it. So
Did he play all the solos on that record?
I don't think so.
Because that's him on Fight for Your Right, too.
I think Rick Rubin actually just used his rig.
Oh, okay.
And played a lot of that. But yeah, he played the solo on No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
And Fight for Your Right.
I don't know if he did that one.
That's him. Listen to it. There's no doubting that's Kerry King.
Stylistically, yeah, but I don't think it's him.
Somebody look that up. Goldfish, look that up. I looked it up. It's not Kerry King. I looked it up. It is Kerry King.
It's not Kerry King. It's somebody who looks like Kerry King.
It says right here, it's Kerry King. Look. And he would do this with his phone. Look. There it is.
Look right here. But yeah, I think it's just No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
I don't know. It's him.
Maybe he played the solo, but he didn't play the guitar.
Gall McCartney, it's him.
He didn't play the whole thing though. He didn't play the rhythm parts. He didn't.
Well, I'm just referring to the solo. I thought you were talking about the solo in No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Well, yeah, he was in the solo No Sleep. Maybe he played it in that one too. I mean, I haven't had that conversation with him, so. Not like
everybody, in case you didn't know, Mike
really
knows Kerry King. That was what he was just hinting at.
Not hinting at anything. I'm not going there. So I haven't spoken to him in a long time. Anyway, moving on. Your turn.
Okay. Speaking of Kerry King, Rain and Blood by Slayer. Maybe Slayer's best record. I don't know. They've got like 5 killer records, but Rain and Blood is like a genre defining album. And I picked Angel of Death because what else can you pick?
Because you can also pick Postmortem into Raining Blood.
Yeah, you could pick that too. Either the opening of the album or the ending of the album.
Or the closing of the album, yeah. I mean, you can also go with something like Necrophobic, but which is like a minute and 10 seconds.
That's my favorite thing always is that because Master of Puppets came out this year too, which I'm sure you're going to pick, but those records are really involved, and Slayer got it done in like 28 minutes.
Yeah,
that's my favorite thing about Rain and Blood is it's just brutal from the moment you put the needle down till it ends. They just kill it.
It was funny when they were when they were doing the Raining, Still Raining tour, and they would play the whole album start to finish. It's like they play the whole album and still have like 45 minutes left to play more songs.
Still play all the other Slayer classics.
Exactly. Well, I had that on there, and yeah, I mean, I do have Master of Puppets as my, one of my honorable mentions, so I'll just throw that on there. Metallica, Master of Puppets. Orion, I know, is one of your favorite songs. So, oh no, did I get that wrong again?
Orion is a good example of showing people why I hate Metallica.
But from that album, I would definitely pick Damage Incorporated.
Love it. Yeah, I love Damage Incorporated.
Absolutely would pick Damage Incorporated any day of the week and twice on Sunday. And in fact, my favorite 2 songs are the bookends of that album, much like Rain and Blood. So, Battery, Damage Incorporated, like the 2 fastest songs on that album by far.
Pretty much the last time they throw down as a full thrash metal outfit, unless you count Dyer's Eve.
Yeah, but that was all cut up.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
Damage Inc. is like the ending of that point in Metallica. And then, of course, Cliff went and died. So
Well, Blackened. Blackened, like
it's like a weak version of Battery, I feel like.
Yeah, but I mean, it was still thrashy until you get to the verses.
Yeah, to the.
As far as did you do all yours?
Yeah, I did all mine.
Okay. So as far as honorable mentions, I have Talking Heads, True Stories. Now, I know it's not like their finest hour, but for me, that was a big album because Wild Wild Life was on there and a couple other really good tunes, and they actually made a movie out of it. I had Raising Hell on there. Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden.
Yep.
And then I just put this on here, not because I like the album, but because it has probably the stupidest, longest title of 1986, Candlemas. Their album, Epicus Doomicus Metallicus. Stupidest.
What about I had Eye Against Eye by Bad Brains? I had hang on, I just lost my way. I put The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby just so Paul McCartney would get pumped. And then my final serious choice for honorable mentions, Night Songs by Cinderella.
Well, Jeff Oden has a great
Depeche
pick
Mode,
here.
yeah.
Black Celebration by Depeche Mode, absolutely 100%. And the fact that I don't have that on my list, I'm kind of ashamed, to be honest with you. So we will put a song from that album on the playlist for sure because it definitely needs to be there. 100%.
Paul McCartney, you know what else came out that year? Back in the High Life, Steve Winwood. That's another one of his favorite albums. Didn't you put that in your video, Mike? Your mystery box on? I thought it was Back in the High Life.
No, I didn't do that one.
Okay.
All right, moving on to 1987. We got 2 more years to get through, and then we have, or 3 more years to get through, and then we have Discovered, and This Song Sucks.
Okay.
Who goes first this time?
I think me.
Okay, you go.
Okay. One of my favorite albums of all time, The Cult, Electric. Great
I have
record.
that down as well, yeah.
You could pick any tune off the album except the terrible cover of Born to Be Wild, which I still don't know why that was even on there. Somebody needs to ask. If I ever got a chance to meet Rick Rubin, I wouldn't ask him about Slayer. I wouldn't ask him about Danzig. I wouldn't ask him about Johnny Cash. I'd ask him why the fuck he insisted that the Cult do Born to Be Wild. It's so awful. Why did that happen? But the other 10 tracks on the album are blistering great. You got Outlaw, you got Peace Frog, Wildflower, Little Devil, King Contrary, just great shit. Electric Ocean. But you have to pick Love Removal Machine as the song for the playlist.
It is a great tune, and yeah, it deserves to be on that playlist for sure.
Yes.
This
Excuse me
one
for a second. I'm going to grab another beer. Hang on.
Okay, well, you do that. While he's, you better hurry, because I'm just going to go through and talk about how much of a dick Nick is. It's fun. MB Dolan, You Should Be Mike. I am Mike. I don't know why I should be Mike, but I am Mike. So I was told you should be Mike, but I am Mike. So how very meta. All right. 1987, May 25th, a banner day for new wave fans everywhere.
I love that everything's a banner day.
The band The Cure. Now,
God damn it. I can't believe you took this from me.
Kiss, Kiss, Kiss.
Yes.
Not the band. Kiss, Kiss, Kiss is the name of the album by The Cure. Has nothing to do with Kiss. Notice we haven't talked about Kiss once. That's because all those albums suck.
Not yet. We haven't. We're
yet.
Getting there. We're getting there.
What, smashes, thrashes, and hits?
No, sir.
But of course, if you're going to talk about that, it's hard to pick just one song, but I went with Just Like Heaven.
Yep.
Because that's, the song that you hear in every teenage movie from that era. And, like a couple walking down the street and there you go. Just Like Heaven is playing. So, your turn.
Okay. going back to metal. I think this is the best record this band ever did. I think it's one of the best thrash records ever. Anthrax, Among the Living. Again.
NFL, Evil Nicky Fessin,
Which-
NFL.
So much is sad. Yeah, I love it. I think the first, like, I mean, the whole record's great, but the first 5 tracks. I mean, you get Among the Living, Caught in a Mosh, NFL, I Am the Law, and then I think Skeletons in the Closet, and then Indians.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can be said? I mean, just the first 3 alone are awesome. But I picked I Am the Law because I just when you see Anthrax live and they do I Am the Law, it's one of the best moments of the night. So, but like I said, you could pick the title track, you could pick Caught in a Mosh, you could pick NFL, you could pick Indians, Skeletons in the Closet. It's all great.
Are you a big fan of Judge Dredd?
Yes.
Well, that's why you probably picked I Am the Law. I am the law. This one was an easy one to pick.
I know what you're going to pick.
What is it?
Hysteria.
Yes. August 3rd. A banner day.
A banner day for Def Leppard fans.
For Def Leppard fans everywhere. Yes, they came out with one of the most perfect albums ever, and that's Hysteria. And again, this is one of those albums that, let's see, I haven't counted how many singles. I think it's 7. It was either 6
so.
or 7.
Sounds right.
So let's see. It was almost the entire first. In fact, it was the entire first side of the album. Women, Rocket, Animal, Love Bites, Pour Some Sugar on Me, and Armageddon It. And then on the other side,
I hate Armageddon It.
And then Hysteria on side 2. Don't Shoot Shotgun wasn't a single, but that would have been a single if it was on any album they made not named Hysteria.
What about Women? Did you mention Women?
Yeah, that was the first song on the album.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it was that seven singles and another couple that could have been singles if they were on any other Def Leppard album not named Hysteria, you know. And they actually, it's funny because that was their goal to write like their version of Thriller, like essentially. So that was the goal. And
goal accomplished.
Yeah, really, 100%. And then they toured forever on it with a one-armed drummer, and not like, you know, but that's okay. And
no, but I mean, that is worth mentioning, right?
It's
like they're coming off Pyromania, which Rick Allen still had both of his arms, and which was a massive record. And then they're dealt that hand where, you know, their drummer loses his fucking arm and he has to relearn how to play the drums. And you have to live up to Pyromania. And not only do they do that, but they soar with it. I mean, you can't, it's definitely more poppy mainstream Def Leppard than Pyromania.
It is bubblegummy.
Yes, but they're still great songs. They're still super well written, except Armageddon It, because I hate Come On Steve, Get It. I fucking hate when he says that and then Steve doesn't get it.
Well, he got it. He took it.
Fucking awful.
Your turn.
All right, Mike. This was the only way I could squeeze these guys onto the list. Had to happen. I don't even know if I really like this that much, but I had to do it just to irritate you. Grateful Dead, In the Dark, featuring the only Grateful Dead hit single ever, Touch of Grey. Yep.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that because I actually have the single.
There you go. I don't even have
vinyl.
that. I don't even have that.
I have it on gray vinyl in the poster cover. Yep, I have it.
My dad worked at WRIF, which is like the #1 rock station here at the time when Touch of Grey came out, and he still tells me that he's like, I remember the program director running around going, "Oh my God, we can play the Dead." And he goes, he's like, I remember putting it on and going, "This sucks."
Speaking of suck, this statement sucks. So he's going to go in a timeout.
No, you can't block Pat. God damn it.
He's blocked for 5 minutes.
That song isn't that good.
Wait, I can't undo it. I really wanted to take it back, but I can't undo it. Oh shit.
Oh my God. You're going to cost me one of my best customers. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Patrick.
Really
It was all
appreciate
in
that.
good fun. I mean, like, Gall McCartney truly deserved it.
He did.
Yeah, he definitely deserved it. You did not. So when you come back in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, I am so sorry.
Wait, so is he like he's not able to see the show, or he's just not able to comment?
He's not able to comment.
Okay.
Yeah, he's putting a timeout.
Don't
So-
do that. Don't do that. Please.
I didn't know that I couldn't undo it.
Next, you're going to tell me that your pick is Diesel and Dust by Midnight Oil.
It is.
No, it's not. It better not be.
It's not. It's not. It would never be. The time has come
Boom, 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 boom,
to
boom.
shave our heads.
How about how Weezer just lifted that completely for Hash Pipe and nobody's ever called them out for it?
Because it was a better version.
Sidebar, Mike, you know who loved and always defended Beds Are Burning by Midnight Oil? Greg.
Well, there's reasons. So, March 9th.
March 9th. We're going to go all the way back to March 9th.
March 9th. We're taking you all the way back to March 9th, 1987. This album put out by 4 Irish cats called U2. You can't not mention the Joshua Tree. You know, I mean, just one of the biggest albums of all time, one of the best albums of all time. Again, you could just throw a dart at the track listing and you'll hit a single.
Yep.
But I went with Where the Streets Have No Name, which in my mind is, I think personally, U2, I think it's their best song, but that's my favorite U2 song. So I don't know if I'm saying I think it's the best. It's the best to me. I just really like the way that whole song flows. 3 minutes left for Patrick, I believe. I feel terrible. But yeah, Joshua Tree, U2, Where the Streets Have No Name.
Great one. I saw U2, Gall McCartney and myself saw U2 play that record in its entirety at Ford Field here, and it was pretty amazing.
Nice.
And I always tell everybody that was the greatest 1, 2, 3 punch I've ever seen at a live show, because they didn't open with the Joshua Tree. They came out, the show started, and they started in the middle of the stadium. Like they came up out of the floor, I think, and they played Sunday Bloody Sunday into New Year's Day into Pride in the Name of Love. And I was like, well, you want to talk about having some hits? I guess
Yeah, really.
I guess that'll get people going. That's a good way to get 60,000 going, you know.
Yeah, I agree. All right, time for your third.
I'm done. I did all
you're
mine.
done. Okay.
Yeah, I did the
You
Cult. I
started
did
this one. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, as far as honorable mentions, Michael Jackson's Bad came out in 1987. Neither of us mentioned Appetite for Destruction. But it
I'm
came out
over
in
it.
1987.
I'm over it. I love Rocket Queen, but that's about it.
Whitesnake's self-titled album with Still of the Night. And Here I Go Again. And for me, on a personal note, Voivod, Killing Technology came out in 1987. So that's a killer album. All right, moving on to 19...
Wait. I want to add Scream Bloody Gore by Death, the debut album by
Oh,
Death.
cool. R.I.P. Chuck.
Yes.
Moving on to 1988. Did you know that May 3rd was a banner day?
Was it a banner year by chance? Or
It
a
was a
banner
banner
day?
day for those that like concept albums.
Oh, I know what you're picking.
Shut up, Roger. Just because he doesn't like Queensryche doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about it. So yeah, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime. Again, one of the most popular metal albums of all time. Prog. It's kind of like prog metal-ish sort of thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it is one of the best concept albums ever recorded. To this day, people debate on who killed Mary, and all these other things. And most every song on that album is great. The way it flows from one track to another with all like the interstitials between the songs, those sort of like, cinematic things that they do. And then seeing him perform it live, when they had Suicidal Tendencies open back in 1991.
What a bill.
Yeah, that was a strange bill, to say
Yes.
the very least. But that was really cool. So I went with Eyes of a Stranger from that album.
So I originally had that on my list, and I removed it to put this album in its place, which I actually, until I was doing this, doing research for this episode, I didn't realize this came out in 88. I thought it was 1990, to be honest with you. Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking.
Yep. And it's just been re-released, so.
What a record. Shout out to the late, great Johnny Johnson for turning me on to Jane's Addiction.
Yep.
What a record. I think Ritual is better, but Nothing Shocking is fantastic. Really doing something out of the box at that time. I mean, really, the alternative vibe, but also the funky rock thing, sort of that the Chili Peppers would come to be known for. I feel like Jane's Addiction was doing it prior, where it was interweaving that alternative thing in it. The track I picked is Mountain Song.
Yeah, I if you didn't pick that one, I was going to slap you. Like, that song is anthemic. It's angry. It's filled with attitude, but it's steady, which is the cool thing about it. It's not super fast. It doesn't ebb and flow with the tempo. It's just dun dun dun, and it just hits you every way to Sunday. So
yes, it's great, and Jane's is so great at that like trancey thing, and they get that rhythmic thing happening, and I think it really shows on Nothing Shocking because Ritual's more of like a experimental record, and I feel like Nothing Shocking is more like the straightforward rock thing. With Ted Just Admit It is great, and what is it, Standing in the Shower Thinking, like, oh, that record is just fucking great.
Even Jane says, just all of it is just really good.
It seriously, we joke and shit a lot on here. It really blew my mind that record came out in 88, because I would have assumed it was later on and they were taking a lot more influences from other stuff that had happened. So
no, it's the complete opposite. They influenced everything. After.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
September 28th.
It was a banner day.
No, it wasn't. It was just a good day. I think it was a Thursday. I don't know. Ozzy Osbourne, No Rest for the Wicked. Now, the reason why I picked this is mainly because of Zakk Wylde, because this is where the world learned of Zakk Wylde and his massive vibrato. One of the best guitar players on the planet. Just
the king of pinch harmonics.
Yes. But Ozzy has always had a record, as a track record of him and Dio, both. Really bring in, and David Lee Roth. The three of them have had like the best guitarists ever play in their band.
Yep.
Period. So, if you had, between everybody that from Randy Rhoads to Brad Gillis to Jake E. Lee, and then you go to Zakk, and Zakk was a revelation, because Zakk was probably, since Randy, and probably after that, for that matter, was the most original guitar player that he had. Somebody who had his own style that, like, you could hear it and just go, yeah, that's Zakk.
Oh, I gotta disagree. You can't. You could say the same thing about Jake.
I think Zack's a little bit more recognizable. I'm not saying that you
only
can't do
because
that
of
with
his
Jake.
tone. Only because of his tone, not because of his playing.
No, his playing is far different than Jake's.
It's far different, but I'm saying I still hear things and I go, "That's Jake."
Well, tell Jake that.
I wish I could. Where is he?
I don't know. He's probably playing with Red Snake Dragon Moan.
He's not playing with Badlands, unfortunately.
Well, you know what? We can't get into that, because the whole like, hey, I'm going to spread AIDS knowingly thing.
Yeah, right.
pisses me off.
That's bullshit. Yeah,
that's not good. But yeah, so Miracle Man is what I went with from that one, because that was the first song on the album. You hear it, you're just like, wow, what is this? Chugga chugga ping, like such a great guitar tone. What great playing, and those pinch harmonics. Yes. So,
yes,
your turn.
Okay, I think one of the most important albums in this genre. It's constantly cited as an influence. It's in a lot of ways. It would be like the Beatles of hip hop or rap.
I know what you're gonna say. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. It's on my list.
Straight Outta Compton.
Yep.
NWA.
that was next for me. So
What's always blown my mind about NWA is when you look back and you think about that these guys came together. You have Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, MC Ren, and then who's the fifth guy? I always forget the fifth guy. Doesn't matter. The three of Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, and Ice Cube, the fact that those guys work together ever is nuts.
Now you're making me look up.
Oh yeah, DJ Yella.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you, Gall.
But Straight Outta Compton, just fucking great. Fuck the Police is on it.
Yep.
The title track, Straight Outta Compton, Express Yourself. And also worth honorable mention, that's like a tree off of this, is Eazy-E, Easy Does It. Also came out this year too, produced by Dr. Dre. So yeah.
So what song did you pick from the album?
The title track, Straight Outta Compton.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be.
See, I would have went with Fuck the Police.
Either one. You could pick either one.
They're both one and not even 1A. They're one and one. Like,
yeah, put them both on the playlist.
Okay. You're not going to get an argument out of me. 1988 had one of the best cover tunes ever recorded by one of the best metal bands ever. From Ram It Down by Judas Priest, Johnny Be Good. No, it's actually one of the worst cover songs ever recorded by one of the best bands ever. But
didn't I pick that for my This Song Sucks in our covers episode?
Yeah, you did. But I had you know what? Let me do my pick. And I'm gonna go with Bon Jovi, New Jersey. I think since you took my NWA, I had to go with Bon Jovi. So I traded NWA for Bon Jovi.
Sorry.
The only time that would ever happen.
Ever.
But yeah, I went with New Jersey because that, again, is another one of those albums. You put the playlist on the wall, you throw a dart, you hit you're going to get a hit.
Yep.
And it's really well produced. Really well produced. Sonically perfect in so many ways. Bruce Fairbairn, who is currently also dead, and wound up producing Kiss later on and somehow fucked that up.
Yeah, Psycho Circus he did.
Yeah. A couple of good songs on that album, but he kind of fucked up everything else. He did a really good job, but this is like the Murderer's Row because I think Bob Rock was one of the engineers on this album as well. And he had there was a third a producer of note as well. I forget, but it was like the Murderer's Row of production and engineering people in the studio. So if it didn't wind up being sonically perfect, there was something wrong. But again, if I'm going to pick something from that album, I'm going to pick Bad Medicine.
Great Bon Jovi track.
Yep.
Love it.
Is that all of them?
I've got one more.
Yeah, you got one more. Yeah.
Except for I'm just realizing that I had one in the wrong year because it should have been in 87. I wanted to pick Kiss Crazy Nights, but
no, that's 87. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 87. So I'll go with this one. King Diamond Them.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes.
The track, Welcome Home, of
Yes!
course. That's the one everyone knows. That's
Yes!
that's like if King Diamond had a hit, it would be Welcome Home. One of the most iconic drum intros ever by Mickey D. Yep. Great guitar playing from Andy. But again, like you mentioned earlier about the Police, this is like if somebody said, "What is King Diamond all about?" That's what you play them.
Yep, I agree. It was funny. I think I even told you this. I was at a Cult show and I was backstage and I met Mike Piazza, the former catcher of the Mets and Dodgers, and because he's friends with John Tempesta from the Cult. And Mike is a drummer. And when I say he's a drummer, he actually plays. Like he can, the guy can play. And he was like spitting out all these things about gear and everything. Like I can hold my own in a gear conversation about drums to an extent. And he was just like way above me as far as like knowledge base. So he obviously knew. So it was like, yeah, I'm trying really, I just can't nail the intro to Welcome Home. It's like, I'm trying so hard. And like, all right, yeah, you're a metal drummer. This is right,
Mickey D just did a video, I think it was during COVID, where he said, this is anytime I meet somebody, this is what they ask me about. It's the intro to Welcome Home. And he showed how he did it. And he's like, yeah, I've never thought it was that difficult, but apparently it is because everywhere I go, somebody asked me about it. And then I thought back to remember when you and me and Gall McCartney and Bob Tyrell were drinking beer with Mickey D and Doug Aldrich at NAMM. And they took that big security guard took Mickey D's beer from him because it was after 2.
Oh, I don't remember. I was probably hammered.
But they took his beer and Goldfish said, "You can't take his beer. That's Mickey D." And the security guard was like, "I don't care who it is. It's after 2. He's losing his beer."
Oh my God. Funny. All right. Well, some other honorable mentions from that year. Another amazing, I know one of your favorite Van Halen albums, OU812. I mean, yeah.
Oh, really good.
Yeah, you love that album. I know you love Finish What You Started. Yeah, I know it's your
Garbage.
favorite song. I know it's
Just
your favorite
straight
song.
garbage.
There's like that and Dreams. Those are your 2 favorite Van Halen songs ever. Also, the Butthole Surfers, Hairway to Steven. That's just on there because it's just one of the silliest titles of an album ever. And then Metallica's Injustice for All.
I can't help but notice you didn't mention Blow Up Your Video by AC/DC.
Well, I didn't. And moving on to 1989.
What about Now in Zen by Robert
Plant. God.
What a terrible fucking record that was.
Heaven knows what kind of fool I am.
Oh, yeah.
It did have no, that one didn't have Tall Cool One, right? Did it?
No, that's on
that's Manic Nirvana.
Manic Nirvana, yeah.
Yeah. 1989. 1989.
You're going first.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with June 20th. It's a banner day for fans of the beginnings of funk rap rock. Because Faith No More came out with The Real Thing. Now, talk about a gender bender.
Yes.
Everything was on this album. Rap, rock, metal, lounge, covers from Midnight Cowboy. Just weird. And of course, that was the introduction of Mike Patton. So, for me, him and Chris Cornell are my 2 favorite vocalists, period. Mm-hmm. It's not even a discussion because they're both so versatile. But
could you please put that comment up?
So, remember when you threw my copy of Now in Zen onto the freeway? Well, there you go. Anyway, the song I went from The Real Thing, I didn't go with Epic. I didn't go with From Out of Nowhere. I went with Falling to Pieces. Just because it's bouncy and fun, and it really kind of typifies the Faith No More poppiness that was on that album. It has the rap thing, it's got the singing thing, it's got a little bit of everything all in there. So that's what I went with. And you know what? Your turn, because you're playing with your boyfriend here.
That's too
in
funny.
the chat. Go. We got to finish up this episode.
Okay. First pick, Skid Row by Skid Row. Came out January 24th, 1989. One of the first albums to come out that year. I picked Sweet Little Sister. This is the tune.
Good song.
But you could pick anything. I mean, 18 and Life's on there. Of course, I Remember You, Youth Gone Wild. I love Midnight, and Big Guns is great, but I love Sweet Little Sister. So I put that one as the track.
I saw Skid Row open up for Aerosmith. I think it was the Pump Tour for Aerosmith, and they played all the hits, and it was like, all right, cool, Skid Row.
There you go.
Awesome. September 5th. Now that was a banner day for grunge. Early grunge.
No, please don't pick this.
What do you think I'm going to pick?
I think you're going to pick Bleach.
No.
Okay, thank God.
No, it's on my honorable mentions, but no. I'm going with Soundgarden, Louder Than Love.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a great album. Okay,
That's
I'm
an
sorry.
Incredible album.
Yes,
And
I apologize.
It's, the Soundgarden that everybody's come to know and love, like everything from Bad Motorfinger and on from there, is not what was this album.
No.
This album is dark as fuck. All right. It's dark. It's disturbing. It's loud. It's louder than love. it very much like half the songs have like a mantra to it, like a flow, like a repeated flow thing. And Hands All Over typifies what I'm describing there. Hands All Over has that, that dun, 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 like that kind of repeated beat through the whole thing. And then just Cornell at his screamy best. He was so good on this album.
Yeah.
So good on this album. So.
And again, like we mentioned on a couple other albums, it's totally the stepping stone to Bad Motorfinger.
Yeah.
When you talk about songs like Slaves and Bulldozers and things like that.
Yep. Things like Rusty Cage, like their version of Rusty Cage, more reflects what was on Louder Than Love than what came afterwards on like Super Unknown or something like that. So like Down on the Upside, like that, none of that reflects what's here on Louder Than Love. So if you haven't delved back that far in Soundgarden's catalog, do it. Like that album is just great. And there's also a great song called Big Dumb Sex.
Yes.
Which the chorus is, hey, I know what to do. I'm gonna fuck you. Fuck you.
Didn't GNR cover that on Spaghetti Incident?
Fuck you!
Did they?
They might have. Somebody around that time period did.
I'll have to look that one up. But I'll look it up right now. But yeah, your turn.
Okay. Another groundbreaking record, debut record from this year. 9 Inch Nails, Pretty Hate Machine.
Great album.
Love it. It's probably the most accessible 9 Inch Nails. What do you think?
Which one?
Accessible. It's the least weird 9 Inch Nails, in my opinion.
I guess in some ways it's a little bit more accessible. I still think that the Downward Spiral probably has more accessible type songs on it. They are weirder
until you
but
get to
they're more
things
accessible.
like March of the Pigs and things like that.
Yeah, I love that song.
Well, I do too, but it's a little in your face. You know what I mean?
It is, but Hurt is on there too. So, it's maybe it's tied, but for different reasons. Like Head Like a Hole is like you could sing it, like you want to sing that song.
Yes.
Whereas some things on 9 Inch on Downward Spiral, you might hurt yourself trying to sing.
Yes. Yeah. So my track, I picked Terrible Lie.
It's a great tune.
Yes.
See, that's another one of those that you could sing. By the way, Guns N' Roses did not cover that song. They did cover Hair of the Dog.
Yeah, that's not what I'm thinking of. Somebody big did Big Dumb Sex.
Yeah, they probably did.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Whatever.
Fuck you!
This one, I could have gone with a lot of different things, but 1989 was not necessarily the greatest year. It was another tougher year to pick things that were kind of good in a lot of ways because, once you clicked over to 1990, then that's a whole other thing. We'll do that decade another time. But for me, as far as my personal preferences and what I like, this album meant a lot to me, and that was Wrathchild America, Climbing the Walls.
You've brought that up a few times.
I have, because I love that album, man. That and 3D. I love that band. And I'm friends with Brad, the singer / bassist, and I'm not friends with him because I like the music. I'm friends with him because he's a cool guy, and he happened to write 2 of my favorite albums. But Climbing the Walls is the greatest bridge in my mind of hair metal and thrash, because the drumming is definitely, the drumming in the music is definitely shreddy in some ways, but also very metal in some ways. The singing is sort of hair band, but there's a lot of screaming involved in a very metal way. So it was this kind of bridge to, and then, on that album, then the next album was definitely more prog metal, which is where I really live, is like in the prog world for me. So it really kind of, it's just sort of like the best of all things for me. I love that album. And the title track, Climbing the Walls, is what I went with on that one.
I am totally unfamiliar with that band, but I'm going to have to check them out.
You got to check out, just give the first song 30 seconds. Trust me, you'll be like, oh, cool, I see what Mike's talking about. And because Shannon Larkin was the drummer of Rothschild.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
awesome.
Amazing
Regardless of what you think about Godsmack, he's fucking incredible.
Yep. And he was in Ugly Kid Joe, and he was in Amen, and he was in a bunch of other things too. So,
He's killer.
yep, great drummer.
My last pick, 1989. I know you don't have this one. Very important milestone in his career. Bob Dylan, Oh Mercy. Fantastic record.
Who would have thought?
Fantastic record. It's the first like killer record he had done in probably since Blood on the Tracks, which at that point was about 15 years prior. The whole album is awesome. Great, of course, great lyrics. But the track I picked was When Teardrops Fall.
What happens when they fall?
They fall. But Daniel Lanois produced that record coming off of I think he was like the engineer on Joshua Tree, because I know Brian Eno is the producer on Joshua Tree.
I think you're right. I think he was an engineer on Joshua Tree.
So that's the Dylan got the idea to use him from Bono, and it was the first time he had worked with like an outside producer that was like gonna push him to do new things, and he got it out of him. It's a great record from front to back, and of course they would go around to work again together on Time Out of Mind, which was Dylan's like big renaissance as an artist. So Oh Mercy is the stepping stone to that.
All right. Well, that's we have some honorable mentions. This one's a little bit crusty, crunchy. Morbid Angel, Altars of Madness.
Yes, I had that on my list.
Yep. And then I did have Bleach by Nirvana, but also Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood.
And also I have Sonic Temple by The Cult.
Yep.
Don't Tell a Soul by The Replacements, and Trash by Alice Cooper.
I think there was probably a year that I didn't give honorable mentions on. Oh yeah, 1982. We didn't give honorable mentions.
Iron Maiden Killers. No, that was 81. Sorry. Yeah.
But I put Culture Club, Kissing to Be Clever, and The Descendants, Milo Goes to College.
Milo Goes to College for sure, yeah.
Bruce, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And then I put Signals by Rush, but as well.
Signals. I like Signals. I like Signals better than Nebraska.
See, now this is, I love Sue.
That's a good one.
Because she's right. Great Radio Controversy from 89. Again, we couldn't touch on every album. I wish we could have. But yeah, Great Radio Controversy is a killer album. Absolutely killer album. So that's pretty much everything. Now, if you have submissions that you want to send, you could always, we could always expand the playlist, and you could just send everything, all your things to info@covertocover.com, as long as it wasn't on an album that we've already picked, because we want to kind of keep it to one per album, more or less, with the exception of the NWA album, where we're going to have two, because, hey, NWA.
I have one more honorable mention for 89 that has to be talked about.
Oh, what you got?
Tom Petty, Full Moon Fever.
All right, you didn't have to mention that.
Yes, I did.
No, you really didn't. You didn't. You
Running Down a Dream, Free Fallin', I Won't Back Down, all on that record.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. You know how much I love Tom Petty.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't get your disgust for Tom Petty.
Just not a fan.
I don't understand how you
I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan.
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, and yeah, there was no honorable mention of Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation in 1989 or any year for that matter. All right. So moving on, we have 2 segments left, and then we're going to let everybody go. And the first one of these, for those of you that don't know, is called Discovered. This is where we discuss a cover song that we like as much, if not more, than the original. Nixon. That's you. That's your new nickname, Nixon. You go first on this one.
Okay. As you know, I always like to stick with the theme. So I went with an 80s cover, and I went with Guar doing Get Out of My Dreams by Billy Ocean.
And I know that version, and it's great.
It is.
Oh my God, it's so good. Oh my God, that's amazing. That is such a great pick.
Yes.
I can't touch that, man. I cannot touch that. That is so awesome that you picked that.
If you haven't seen it, as soon as you're done, stay on YouTube and
go on
search
YouTube
it.
and just find it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Jesus, that's too funny, man. Wow. Anything I say is going to pale in comparison to that. It's going to pale in comparison to that. But sticking with the theme, Guns N' Roses. I went with their cover of Mama Ken.
Off Lies.
Yeah. It's or Live Like a Suicide, depending on how you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, I think they destroy the Aerosmith original. I like the Aerosmith version, but I love the attitude in the Guns N' Roses version. And Slash's playing is great on it. So,
yes,
but I think that honestly, Axl's voice fits the song better with the lyrics than Steven Tyler. It just fits better.
I've always loved that version.
Yeah, it's just a killer rendition of that song. And if you haven't heard it, get GNR Lies or go on Apple Music and find it. And yeah, I mean, it's just
because GNR Lies hasn't been reissued, so for somehow, so
I think it has to do with the inner.
And probably the song "One in a Million" probably has something to do with it too.
That, 1 in a Million. Now I have an OG. Mm-hmm. I have an OG nude booby inner version on vinyl. And that's never leaving my collection, like, ever. But yeah, 1 in a Million, don't listen to that song.
No.
Unless you want to be like, oh, that's why they're never going to play this song ever again.
I bet they would love to erase that out of their history if they could.
Time marches on, and sometimes you got to think about that as a band.
Yep.
So anyway, that was mine. Now, you know what time it is. It's time for our final segment.
Pat Middlestat come back? I hope he did.
He came back. No,
okay, all right, good.
He came back. I don't think he cursed me too much. But for those of you for the uninitiated, it is time for a segment called "This Song Sucks," and we have a very specific intro for this song. We'll see you in 15 seconds. It's never not funny.
It's so good.
I'm sorry, I'm playing it again.
I love the count off. That's my favorite part.
And I wrote and recorded that in like an hour.
You can tell.
It's 15 seconds. So anyway, I still love it. All right. On the Guns N' Roses train, sticking with it, though this is from 91. And the reason why it came to me is because Guns N' Roses is about to release a gigantic box set for Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. I think it's like a $500 box set.
Yeah, it's got like 20 LPs in it.
Yeah, and CDs and 7 inches, like a ton of 7 inches and like doodads and knickknacks. And it's this big box with like a, what's the cover? It's like is it a lenticular? It's a lenticular cover,
I think
right?
it's but I think actually the box, it's like a shadow box. Yeah, it's like.
So it looks great, but I mean, it's $500.
Not for long.
Yeah, probably not. Probably drop down to $380 in no time at all. But that's supposed to come out in November, I think, right? Or late this month, October 28th.
No, it's I think it's November.
Is it November? Okay.
Yeah.
So either way, within the next 45 to 60 days, it'll be out. And one song from those albums, I think it's on 2, is My World.
Oh my God.
And it's fucking awful. It's just basically, I don't know, it's some sort of like electronica and like Axl just being a douche and doing weird things with his voice and screaming and talking and just being Axl.
It's not good. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's awful.
It's awful. It's god awful. And I don't even know. And it's only like a minute and a half long, but really, when you think about it, did you need to do that? Were you that short on finishing the album that like, hey, we need something? I got an idea, said Axl, and goes into the studio and just like, here, just like throw a bunch of shit on tape, and I'm just gonna go in my world. And
there is so much garbage on both of those records. There's a lot of great stuff,
yes,
but there's a lot of really bad crap like that. Like My World, that song "Get in the Ring" is terrible.
Get in the Ring is another not so great one. It's better than My World.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's not much that isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That song does suck.
That song is fucking awful.
It's fucking terrible.
That song sucks. All right, your turn.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it was time to talk about it. Not only the worst song of the 80s, but possibly the worst song of all time.
Oh my God, you're just really just overwrought.
I don't know if it gets any shittier than this, to be honest with you.
Have you heard
my arch nemesis, Steve Miller?
Your arch nemesis. He's coming for you.
The song is Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
Awful. Awful. I want to reach out and grab you. I want to reach out and grab Steve Miller and punch him in the fucking face. That song sucks so bad.
But Black Panties with an Angel's Face.
I hate how you know what I've been thinking about this, because people always go, why do you hate Steve Miller so much? First off, how he pronounces things. I hate.
I hate have a really big problem with his voice.
I hate how he goes, I heat up like I do that. Like a fucking, oh God, he sucks. He's so bad. I hate his guitar playing. All of his lyrics are horrible. He is the worst. He's the worst of all time. And Abracadabra is a prime example of why he's the worst of all time.
I'm trying to see, like, I see the magic in your eyes. I hear the magic in your sighs.
He's, okay, there you go. Case in point. How's that for some lyrics?
You make me hot. You make me sigh. You make me laugh. You make me cry. Keep me burning for your love with the touch of a velvet glove. Spoken word by Steve Miller. It really doesn't work. Even
again,
Patrick's
like I always have to say, because he has to say it every time he does an interview.
Yeah.
Les Paul was his godfather, and Charles Mingus was coming over to his house, and that's what he put out into the world was Abracadabra. That's what you got out of it.
Do with him? I'm confused.
Oh, Charles Mingus was hanging out with his dad. So when Steve Miller was a little kid, Charles Mingus would come over and jam. So he sat in a room with Charles Mingus, and we got Abracadabra because of it.
We also got, Take the Money and Run.
Yeah, which is also terrible. And the Joker, which is it's a joke. It's fucking terrible. And Jet Airliner, which isn't his song, I get, but like he brought it to the masses, so he's responsible. That song sucks. Fly Like an Eagle, terrible.
You're just a bad person.
No, I'm not a bad person. He's a bad person. And on top of it, like I've mentioned on this show before, everyone I know that's met him says he's a fucking dick too. So there you go.
I haven't met him, so I can't speak to it.
Oh, he doesn't play. Never mind.
He doesn't play what?
Nothing.
Yeah, he doesn't play Taylor guitars.
No, I was gonna not say that, but yeah.
Yeah, I said it. So
there you
Fuck
go.
you.
Yeah,
What's happening, baby?
We try to avoid that as much as possible. All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Unless there's anything else that
Wild
you want
Mountain Honey, awful. Also, Pat.
Oh my God, you have such a hard-on for him. It's amazing. Again, info at covertocover.com if you have any other submissions you'd like to give to us. You can also check out Nick over at rockcitymusicco.com. And where is your store if you are in the Detroit metro area?
5 Mile and Farmington in Livonia.
There you go. So, oh wow, I can have two of these at once going. That's
cool.
Go. Can I have everything? No, I can't.
No.
I can only use it. All right. Well, you can also check us out at covertocover.com, though I haven't updated that website in a while, so I really need to do that. But again, info at covertocover.com. Send your submissions. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Again, my name is Mike, and that is Nick.
And now we play the music to take us out, because that is what one does when they try to be somewhat professional, which doesn't normally happen. Again, we're going to be back on October 25th, which is a Tuesday. We're going to come up with a spooky playlist for your Halloween fun. And what else? Nick is going to sell a whole bunch of guitars this weekend.
Let's hope.
And if anybody wants to work at Nick's store, you can send him an application. He's always looking for good people. And
pretty sure Paul McCartney fell asleep because he didn't participate in the Steve Miller conversation.
Yeah, I know, right? Jesus. And no, it is not the second longest time. I think it is the third longest time at this point. But if we just keep talking, we'll go second longest for sure. Anyway, thank you all. We love you. And wow, how much longer does this song go? Oh, here we go. Yeah. There we go. Goodbye. See ya.